Let's go live. Let's go live. We're going live. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. We are live and willing to thrive. It's Palm Sunday was yesterday. So, like Easter is upon us. Like the resurrection of Christ. And everybody should be, celebrating that, I guess. I've never heard of anybody else resurrecting, but sure, Zombie Jesus Day. Let's go ahead and let's go with it. Hey, Dugald. Stop scrolling. Stop scrolling. All right, it looks like we already got somebody.
How you doing, man?
Hello, and Ohad, can I get your age real quick, just for TikTok purposes?
28.
All right, and what brings you on today?
Well, I disagree with most of what you're saying. I think that MAGA is better than the Democrats. There are certain things that I criticize Trump for.
Okay, well, let's start there. Let's see here. MAGA is better than the Democrats. How?
So Biden's first decision in office almost was to remove the Houthis from the list of designated terror organization, a decision that I've never understood. He then proceeded to lose about $52 billion in a disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. I can probably keep on for 3 hours straight if you just want me to name Biden's failures. I can go even to Obama if you would like.
Okay, but my point is that MAGA and Trump are the mess, right? So I understand that Biden made some, pretty dumb calls, and also Obama. I don't necessarily want to defend them. But how is Trump doing any better?
I think the goal is very noble, and the goal, as I see it, is making Europe self-sufficient again, something that they completely decimated themselves for whatever reason. Helping removing dictatorships that have been anti-America for ages now, and bringing them back to the West. And I think that in general, the trajectory is pretty good, even if you have a lot of media outlets trying to brainwash you to the otherwise.
Okay, so you're saying that what he's doing in Iran right now is good?
Yes.
Good for America?
Good for literally everybody.
Okay. How's this good for America, though?
So they just I think it was 6 days ago, maybe a week, it was revealed that they have ballistic missiles that are able to travel 4,000 kilometers when everybody around the world thought that they have about half as much range on their ballistic missiles. And suddenly it have become a problem for Europe. And I don't think it will take too long, let's say 5 years, let's say 10 years. I don't think that it matters until they are actually able to strike the US.
So
I don't think that a theocratical dictatorship of fanatics having nuclear weapons or even just ballistic missiles that are able to carry attacks on US soil is a very good thing.
Okay, so Iran is not the only country that has ballistic missiles, that has a bad attitude about America. Yet we just happen to choose them because Israel.
That's kind of my point.
Told us because that they're going to do something, right?
Things wrong with my internet. Can you hear me?
We, as Americans, were the aggressor. You think that it's good that we allowed Trump? Well, actually, we didn't even allow him. He just basically decided for himself to unilaterally, declare basically a war with Iran. Hey, Champagne.
You also know that the U.S. is the one who made these countries what they are as far as why they feel the way they feel about us. We're the ones who screwed them over.
Yeah, we like ran multiple coups on
your
Iran.
your first war was with the Barbary pirates, which were a bunch of Muslim men. So I don't
Yeah,
think that
I'm
you're
aware.
right
What
on
does
the
that have
history.
to
If
do
we
with
want,
anything?
we can go there.
What does
Because
them being Muslim men
radical
have
Islam have
anything to do with
always been a
anything?
problem. Throughout the entirety of human history, since the moment that Muhammad was born, radical Islam was
I'm
been a
sorry.
I
problem.
don't care about your religion.
Is this some religious war? Are you claiming that America is like holding a religious war?
I'm
This
literally
isn't
saying the
that
opposite.
this isn't about
I'm
oil
saying that Iran is
or
holding
the
a
Strait of
religious war against
Hormuz
the entirety
or
of the West, whether you want to
potential
believe it or not.
aggression.
We don't want holy war. We don't care about your religion. Why is that a justification for anything?
Right.
Again, it's insane to me, your naivety. So I'm saying
It's insane to me that you're proposing that a holy war
wants
is
a war
okay.
with everybody that isn't Muslim, right?
No,
This is
they're
what
not.
they
They were
aspire to.
literally
Yes, they
minding their
do.
own business.
No, they absolutely haven't.
How weren't they? When the entire intelligence community said that they were not doing the
No,
things that
they
we went to
haven't.
war with them for.
So they have the Houthis, they have Hezbollah, they have Hamas.
I don't
they have
care.
All of
Those are
all of
products
those
of
proxies.
U.S. interventionism.
What do you think the end goal of all of those proxies
Those are products
Why do you
of
think that they
U.S.
have Hezbollah?
interventionism.
Why do you think they have Hezbollah members inside of the likes
Those
of
are
Venezuela
products
in
of
Cuba?
U.S. interventionism.
Why do you think that they have positions in South America?
Okay.
Those are products.
Like what constitutes our going in and starting this aggression, like as America? We pulled out of the enrichment, the JCPOA, which
As
was,
you should, by the way.
Why?
It was a disastrous agreement.
From people that I know that actually like worked with it, it was working. It wasn't perfect, but it was working, right? Like they weren't enriching uranium beyond 60%.
How is it disastrous?
Yeah, you can just assert all kinds of things, like things are disasters, but you need to like back them up.
No, I can tell you why it was.
Okay,
why?
I have no worries. So it was a 10 to 15 years agreement, right? I don't know if it was 10 or 15. I don't think it matters too much.
Okay.
But during this time,
good start here. You really sound like you know what you're talking about.
They didn't have as many sanctions on them. It was almost lifted completely. They continued to fund all of the terrorist proxies on the Middle East, like Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and so on and so on and so on in Iraq. And they continue to develop ballistic missiles.
You seem to really like focused in on the Houthis.
Yeah,
I understand that the Houthis like have some problems over there on like the Suez Canal, but as far as like the JCPOA,
the Suez Canal, by the way,
enriching, like the reason why America like blew up a school full of innocent little girls was because there was word that there's enrichment of uranium that's going, that was on the level of nuclear war. So when we were in the JCPOA, we had, access to see how much was being enriched and whether or not it was being enriched beyond a certain percent, which was like, it was like 6 or something like percent, which it wasn't until Trump pulled us out of it. And then all of a sudden, now they're enriching, which because of course, nobody's going to back it up now, the JCPOA, if the US is out of it. The US was the only one that was really like, holding the feet to the flame. So they're going to start enriching, which whatever, they're a hegemonious state. They can do what they want, right? They're not like actively showing aggression. And then we are the ones that came into there. Now we're putting boots on the ground, invading. This was not run through Congress. This was not like passed by, like anything other than just Trump unilaterally deciding on basically information that he got from Israel.
Well, yeah, I dare to say Bibi had a big part in that too, but yeah, Trump and Bibi.
I don't know what happened to the United States in the past few years. Either your brains got mushy or your media outlets have become so propagandized, you guys just completely lost the plot.
So you're saying
like
Trump did
the
not jump back
JPOA
out
Okay,
of the
was a
bed?
disastrous
yeah, enough
agreement
of the like weird, like
for only
grandiose
10
talk
years.
and like actually
During
say
this
something with
time,
a point, right? So what's your problem? Is your problem like the
I'm
like
trying to. I have very bad connection right now.
okay? So what's your issue
Can you
though?
hear me?
Like, do you have a problem with anti like Israel sentiment?
First of all, sure, yes.
Like,
But
what is the
second of all,
plot? What is the
when you're
plot that
talking
you were
about,
saying that we lost? What's the plot?
you have no grasp on reality at this point. You have no idea of what's happening on the ground besides what you hear on TV, and that's a problem. Okay, because you
You're
never
saying
make your own
that
research, and you have no idea what you're talking about.
That's an
Like,
assumption. You don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
it's not an
sounds
assumption.
like.
It's something
No, it
that I
is.
see.
Are you telling me Trump is not the one who backed out of the JCPOA?
yeah.
He was absolutely supposed to do that. If he
No,
hadn't
he was
done
not.
that, I would criticize them.
He was literally supposed to stay in it. That was literally an agreement
No,
we
it
made with
wasn't.
Iraq and
It
Iran.
was a disastrous
Ohad.
agreement.
Dude,
It's
it was
already stated.
working.
I
You're
just
gonna
have
sit
to-
there
It
and
wasn't
tell
working
me.
at all.
I want to hold on, Dougal. I want to ask you, Ohad, are you an American citizen?
When did they ever said that?
I'm just asking, just wondering.
No, not.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And
Maybe.
so it's interesting that you're trying to tell us like what's going on with our government.
Apparently, yes, because I hear your news and I know what they lie. Because they say things that are simply not true.
Yeah, we
Probably.
know.
And
That's
like,
what we're
if you
telling
want,
you.
we
The
can go
things
by
you're
them.
saying are untrue.
Yeah.
Okay,
do
tell
you
me a
think
single thing that I've said that isn't true.
do you think we don't like have media literacy that we're just
No.
like zombies that are just eating?
Yes,
That's what you think.
I honestly think that, yes.
You'd be
Okay.
wrong.
So where are you from?
I'm from Israel. Nice to meet you.
Israel?
Yes.
There you go.
See, that makes a lot more sense now. See,
Yep.
why didn't you just start with that?
When did you ever ask me that?
I didn't. But why
So
didn't you
I
tell
don't
me?
want-
I mean, like it's clear that you have a problem with Iran, and it's probably very, very convenient that America is fighting a war for you.
Again,
Can you
I don't
use our
think
money
it's
to
a war
do it?
for
And
me,
use
but I
our money
already
to
told
give
you that.
yourself universal health care. Use our money to
That's
start your
false. Again,
wars.
this is why
Use
I
our
know
money
that
to
you're
slaughter people.
propagandist.
Use our
Because you
money to
just
do all
repeat
these things, and then you're going to tell
lies all
us
the
it's
fucking
propaganda.
Yeah.
That
how do you feel
insane.
about Israel's invasion of the Gaza Strip and the innocent people that are losing lives over there?
How do you feel about October 7? Like, okay, like if you start a war,
So you're saying October
I don't think
7th that you
they're
all
comparable.
weren't committing
Completely
atrocities
yes,
honest.
they
before
absolutely
that?
are comparable. Actually, no, they aren't, because on October 7th there have been much
So
to the magnitude of amount of people are being unalived in a singular day.
You're
So you're
comparing.
saying you did nothing to Palestine before October 7th?
I think that electing Hamas and having a blockade because
You're
of it is
saying
not
you
something
did nothing
that
to
Israel is
Palestine
supposed
before
to
October
be
7th.
criticized for.
You're saying you did nothing to Palestine before October 7th?
No. If you want, we can
You
go
did
into the entire
nothing to
history.
Palestine before October
Yeah,
7th.
he's
They
bad
stop-
faith. You're
Wow.
bad faith. Get the fuck out of here.
Fucking lying pieces of shit.
Yeah, that's like the most bad faith shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, so
All right. So beyond obvious like Israeli propagandists, hopefully we get Spirits. Are you there?
yeah, I'm here though. So I knew from the onset that he was Israeli, and I wanted to go ahead and just confront him. You know, he's somewhat butthurt because America is waking up to see exactly what this entity is actually doing. How they're sucking financial resources out of this country, how they're leading us to these endless wars, and he has some sort of audacity to come up and tell any American, you know, how they should or should not feel, as if we don't see exactly what's going on in real life.
Right. Yeah, agreed. Hey, I'm only looking for opposition right now, but I'm glad you came up and spoke your mind. So hopefully you can find him. And maybe, yeah. So Skeptical, are you there?
Yo, what's up, brother?
Not much. Can I get your age real quick?
I'm 21.
All right. And what brings you on?
All right. Well, accepting the LGBTQIA is good, but also Christianity. I was just curious about you saying Christianity holds back progress. Why specifically Christianity? Do any other religions hold back progress?
Well, I would say that as far as like modern medicine, and like even like racial desegregation, at least when it comes to America, it was the Christians that have like held us back on a lot of like very big steps.
And so when you say you're referring to the U.S. specifically, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that it's probably true across the board. Even for like just like Western civilization.
So what about like Islam? Do you think they're holding back progress at all?
We don't live in a place where Islam has control, so I'm not really worried about them right now.
Yeah, I'm sure they are holding back progress. I do think that all religions, in a way, can hold back progress when it comes to like scientific like progress. But as far as like what we like have historically, like stem cell research, things like like I said, like racial desegregation, LGBTQ rights. These are mainly Christian. I mean, and partly like Muslim problems.
Okay. And Dougal, when you said that, was you referring to the U.S. or the Western society as a whole?
No, I'm referring to Western society. Most of the Western society, especially the U.S., is not controlled nor influenced much by Islam.
Yeah,
It's primarily Christianity.
Have you been to Europe?
What did I
are you
just
just
say?
upset that I'm only like pointing out Christianity? You think that you would be like better off like if I
Yeah,
said
I'm
like all
definitely
religion,
upset
all,
because
all,
even if we
all
grant
Abrahamic religions?
Yeah, if we grant you the other ones, what changes?
Yeah, what
What's
changes?
the difference?
nothing changed. I
Okay,
was
then
just
what is your
curious.
point? Then what's your
Yeah.
point?
It was simply curiosity, right? And you're making the claim that
Well, your
said-
curiosity has been satiated. We don't like Islam any more than we do Christianity, but Islam is not our problem right now.
Right.
okay, it was just a question, right?
I don't
Also,
see like like Muslim like like billboards or I don't have like imams or anybody
I know,
like
but
coming
it's
and
just-
knocking at my door every
No,
Sunday.
He made the positive claim, right, that Islam has no effect on like the Western society, which is
Okay,
just not
so
true.
I'm sure he would concede that Islam has some effect. There's a non-zero effect, so it does not compare to the effect that Christianity has.
Okay. Well. maybe
Like
we-
I don't understand why you are trying to like deflect.
The whataboutisms are
Could you
crazy.
tell me
Yeah,
how
the
I'm
what about
deflecting?
it? Like the pivot, right? Like you're just saying like, well, what about it? Like Islam? What about
Oh,
Muslims?
all right. So, whatever particular angle I choose to critique a claim is not a deflection. It's a legitimate argumentative method. It's not deflecting. All right. You can't confine an argument to a single narrow lane.
It can when we're not impacted by the
Jesus
thing you're
Christ.
arguing for.
Jesus Christ is what I want to talk about. All right, this is Easter week. Let's talk about Jesus.
Okay. I mean, oh yeah, I was just
You-
I was mainly
this doesn't say like Muslim, Islam, or anything else. Like the whataboutism is stupid. So
I mean, sure, you can do that. It's just going to be arbitrarily restricting the
If
scope
you
of
want
the
to talk
argument.
about Islam, go hold a live that talks
Yeah.
about Islam. We're not
I
talking
mean,
about
it's
Islam.
just it's okay. You
We're
can
not
restrict it.
talking about
Okay,
Islam.
okay, brother. I understand you want to restrict the scope of the argument to avoid
I know
scrutiny.
we want to restrict the things
Yeah,
that
you can
actually
do that.
matter to us, not the bullshit that you want to propose.
yeah,
it only
like
matters to you because you can't defend anything else when.
I already did. I don't like Islam any more than I do Christianity. Now get on with your point.
yeah, please make an
Yeah,
argument
we
or a
already
counter
clarified
argument.
that. I don't know
right?
why you kept responding back.
So
Anyways,
instead of a pivot,
once
how-
again, there was
how-
no pivot. It was just a critique.
how is what about Islam not a pivot? When my point is Christianity holds back progress, how is what about Islam not a pivot?
I've already responded to that.
Okay, well, I have other people in
anyways,
the
I
box.
wasn't even really coming to debate that. I was coming
well,
to-
if you're not here to debate or be opposition, then what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Danny boy.
Oh, Jonathan, hey, what's going on?
What's up, buddy?
Not much. So what brings you on?
Yeah, man. So we spoke a little bit last week about accepting the LGBTQIA, but I see you have another prompt here for Christianity holds back progress. So kind of wanted to talk to you about that, my friend.
Yeah, skeptical. You like sat there and talked about the third prompt. You didn't even talk about the second one. and then you like threw like hold on, sorry. You like smothered us with jargon and Philbro bullshit. Like, come on, nobody's here to hear your like stupid jargon. All right. Jonathan, so yeah, Christianity holds back progress. I mean, like, I was just thinking about like segregation and stuff recently, and that's what like sparked this. Because a lot of people like that come on here want to discuss like trans like sports, like in women's sports and everything, and I think that that's it's trying to segregate, right? And when I was thinking about segregation, I think back to racial segregation, and the like number one like opponent of like desegregating was the Christian church. And then I thought about it a little bit more, and I realized that like stem cell research, even the trans debate and like the like gay debate, this is all like even gay rights, like that's all kind of been pushed back because of the Christian church.
Okay. So I see your point in, referencing, some of those arguments in reference to progress. However, I do believe that there's an argument to be made about the progress in science when it comes to like Isaac Newton. We have a bunch of different scientists that, made their judgments. Like the Big Bang Theory from Georges Lemaitre. He proposed the Big Bang Theory, and he was an Augustine monk. And we kind of
a lot of
have work. Can I finish my argument?
Yeah, go on.
Thanks, man. And we have a lot of these ideas. So, as you said, Martin Luther King Jr. was a big proponent, and one of the foundational things he believed in was Christianity, which helped move and forward our progress to desegregate, as you initially said. So, there's a lot of things that Christianity has moved forward. So, like William Wilberforce,
Okay.
he took.
All right, so like I understand your argument right now, but I like before, like I understand, like, okay, so you said Isaac Newton, the guy who like came up with the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, there's a lot.
They were Christians, but what exactly about the Big Bang Theory is Christian, right?
Well, it's not about being a Christian, but he proposed that this idea of the Big Bang Theory was the universe had an origination point, which understanding science and understanding, cosmology lined with the thinking that the earth or the universe started in a specific point. So it wasn't specifically his foundational belief in Christianity that kind of pushed him towards that, but it was the science that he uncovered. And Albert Einstein was actually adamantly against the Big Bang Theory because he didn't believe in God. He didn't, even though his math pointed towards it, initially he did not want the outcome of his math to be that there was a starting point of the universe. However, we now know that there was a starting point of the universe. And I say that to say that while it wasn't specifically his Christian theology that motivated him, it was something that lended to his investigation, like Kepler. Johannes Kepler. He believed that he saw his work as thinking God's thoughts after him. So science pushed forward our explanation of the universe. Gregor Mendel, he was the father of genetics. He was also an Augustinian monk. He conducted experiments in the monastery. So a lot of these things, Robert Boyle, who was the founder of modern chemistry, he believed that science was a way to understand God's creation. Michael Faraday, electromagnetism, electric motor. He was a devout member of the Christian sect. So Florence Nightingale, she was a Christian as well. Modern hospital.
I understand that all these people are Christian, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I still fail to see where like Christianity plays the part, right? Like, what I could see is maybe that like monks, right? For instance, they don't have to be farmers. They don't have to be like the daily workers. They might not have a family that they have to like be in charge of, so maybe they have a little bit more time to focus on academics. A lot of times they did like teach or they studied and researched. That all
Would you call it progress though? Would you call it progress that they made based on their belief and investigation that they were trying to prove things? Would you call, like, so for instance, like Florence Nightingale, she saw her work as a Christian calling. The first hospitals in Europe were founded by Christian communities. Would you consider that progress, or would you not consider that progress?
No, I wouldn't personally, because the problem is you have Christianity who has wiped out entire civilizations and cultures that had some of those things like hospitals before it got to Europe, right? So they took that away.
Name one.
There was Mesopotamia is where the first hospitals were ever started.
Show me. Show
Huh?
me. Show me.
Show you what? You can
Don't
go
just
look
tell
it
me.
up.
Don't just tell me. Show
I
me.
just told you.
Don't just tell me. Show me.
Show you what?
Show me the evidence.
Go look it up. Google it
No,
right
you
now.
go look it up and
Mesopotamian
show us.
hospitals.
You show
Type
us.
it into Google. Why should I have to
I'm
do
not
the work
Googling.
for you?
Google's not a source.
I didn't say it was a source. Where did I say Google was a source?
You told me to Google it. So you
Yes, I did. I told you to type it in. Do you know
I'm
how to
not
find
using
sources
Google
on
as a
Google?
source. Why don't you
Do
bring
you
a
know how to
source and you
find
show me?
sources on Google?
You're making the claim, sir.
Do you know how to find
You are
sources on
making the
Google?
claim, sir.
You just
Not
claimed
me.
that Google was a source that I claimed,
did not
and I
claim
did not
Google
make
was a
that
source.
claim.
You're
I
making the
said
claim
to
and you told me
Google
to
it,
Google
and I
it.
asked you if you knew how to see what
Okay.
a source was.
We're going in circles here. So the claim is that Christians destroyed hospitals in Mesopotamia.
No, they did it all throughout their entire history. And then they started hospitals on
Hey,
their own,
Jess.
and he's claiming they're starting them. They erased societies
I
that
said
had
the
hospitals
first
already.
hospitals in Europe were founded by
know.
Christian communities.
And you missed what
And
I
that is
said as a
progress in Europe.
counterpoint. You missed what I said as a counterpoint. You're not listening.
You're not making a counterpoint.
I
You're
did. I
just
said the
telling
reason
people
it would
stuff.
not be progress
You're
is
telling us
because
stuff.
if they wiped out whole societies that existed before that also had hospitals.
Prove it.
Oh my fucking God.
Don't just tell us. Prove it. Yeah, go on your little Google and prove it. Don't just make claims that you can't substantiate. Prove what you're saying, and then we'll take a look at it and we can argue the point. But if you're going to tell somebody something, prove it. Let's not make just wild claims about
I'm
your
looking,
point just
quit
because you want to
monologuing.
think
I'm looking, quit
Christianity is
monologuing.
bad.
I am looking, quit it monologuing.
I'm not monologue. I'm
Calm
talking to
down.
Benny Boy. I'm talking to Benny Boy. Anyway, Benny Boy, since it's your live, I'll talk to you, my.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dugald's a co-host, so
Ancient India before 230 BCE is one. Ancient India, they were colonized by Christianity eventually. They were also suppressed by Christianity as they marched their ways across the fucking Europe, Mediterranean, and the Middle East. You also have other cultures. Hold on, I'll grab the other ones for you. Ancient Greece, Rome
Benny
itself,
Boy, I wanted to
before
show
being
evidence of
conquered and used by
hospitals. That's what
Christianity,
that's his
which is
claim
what
he made,
people
that we
use them to
demolished
call,
hospitals in these
destroy them all.
cultures.
I love how I'm answering your question
But
and you're
he's
talking
not
over
providing
me.
actual information.
Oh my fucking God. I give up, Benny. He's all yours. Have fun.
okay. So
We had a good talk the other day, Benny. We had a really good talk. And this Dugald guy, he can make listen, I understand that he's making these claims, but when he makes these claims, he's not actually providing the evidence that Christians.
I said I was done it. I gave you the stuff. If
And
you don't
he
want to
went-
look it up,
he's
that's not my
not-
problem.
Yeah, I
Go
thought I
ahead,
could
you
talk to
move
Benny.
on with the
I
conversation.
thought I
Get me
could
out
talk
of
to
it.
Benny Boy.
okay, well, we don't
Do so then.
Thanks, man. Well, he's making a claim about hospitals specifically, is what his point was. Is that
I thought we were dropping that.
Christianity-
Okay,
Well,
like
I
that's
don't
not
think
my
he ever
argument.
provided evidence for that. So
Well, I mean, you
can.
kind of talked over him.
Well, no, because when he was saying, and I apologize about it.
I was trying to give the evidence. You wouldn't shut
Yeah,
up long enough for
he-
it. So
he
fine,
was.
move on.
It seemed like he, in good faith, was looking up the evidence and was
But,
trying to
but
provide
his
that.
initial thing
See,
about
now you're
India-
talking over me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
like
I'm sorry. I'm
so,
sorry.
like I want to keep this respectful, right?
Sure.
And I understand, like, things can get a little heated. So like that's fine, but like I this is more of a not of like trying to get a W or anything. Like honestly, if you can convince me and change my mind, like that's part of the show, right? That's
Right.
part of the point.
Yeah.
So, but like what I'm thinking of here is that I don't hear anything like inherently Christian
Mhm.
about Florence Nightingale, or like, I mean, maybe Florence Nightingale, she like maybe thought she had like a mission from God or something like that. But like as far as studying the cosmic background radiation and figuring out the Big Bang Theory and things like that. These are just like empirical observations that we like sans Christianity would have come across, right? So like I don't really see how Christianity helped progress these things. In fact, I would say that many things that could have been discovered may have been hidden by Christianity. I mean, we know for a fact that, you know, a lot of discoveries or stories, a lot of other religions were considered heresies from early Christians. And in fact, they were like destroyed, like their whole histories were taken away. Like that is history that we cannot get back.
Okay.
That I think does like hinder our progress. Now, modern times, like I would like to focus more on the modern stuff, like desegregation, gay rights, the stem cell research. That was a big one. I think that like reproductive rights, I think that like gender and even like the family unit and all of these things, a lot of progress that we could be making is hampered because there's this like need for this Christian like ideal.
All right. So let me just start with this.
Hey, Lilith.
Can you at least, are you able to grant that progress, even though there are atrocities committed by a specific religion, and I will agree that there have been atrocities in the name of Christianity, and I'll grant that. I'll grant that 100 times over, that people have used the Bible in nefarious ways to grant themselves slavery, to conquer other individuals. I'll grant that. Let's say that I grant all of that. However, we can't just allude to that fact and say, just because there have been atrocities under the Christian faith, that no progress has been made because of the Christian faith. Can you at least grant that? Can you concede that point?
Okay, so I would say I will concede that some progress, and the way that we want to frame this is, I have to be a little wordy with it because
that's fine. Go ahead.
Part of it is colonialism, right? And I think that progress is measured in different ways to different people. Sure. What I'm like referring to with my like version of progress is more or less just technological, scientific, and social progress. Now, coming over to or like trying to like evangelize a savage, quote unquote, like tribe or people, and in turn, like, you know, showing more like Western civilization like methods to them. If you want to call that progress, then sure.
Well, what I'll say, and I thank you for conceding at least that fact, that just because somebody's a Christian doesn't mean that they're what they established, and we can all agree that there are a bunch of different Christians, right? There's some Christians that don't do any of those things. There's some Christians that want to have progress in the sciences, right? We can't just align ourselves with there's no Christian scientist that's out there not making progress. Of course there are. And of course there's people against Christianity that would, like yourself, would say that Christianity is holding back progress. But we can also align ourselves and say, if one thing is happening, we can't just say that if somebody's a Christian, that we're not progressing. There are a lot of times in Christianity that we have moved forward the needle in progress.
Yeah, like I would say, but not without like a lot of pushback, right? So like I think that the progress could have happened a lot quicker with like sans Christianity. And I think that like Christianity could still exist. It's just the like absolute insistence on things such as racial desegregation. And I understand that, you know, Martin Luther King Jr. was a pastor, right? And that he was also a very smart man. You know, he's a learned man. I actually love the writings of Martin Luther King Jr. I think that his letters from Birmingham jail are some of the best things I've ever read.
Exactly.
But I didn't really pick up much on like Christian idealism in those letters.
Saying God.
He actually refers more to like philosophers and like American, like inspirational, like Thomas Paine, philosophers about the us like versus them, like ID like type of philosophy. I remember that he goes like deep into that. I don't know if he was like really like quoting any verses. He might have.
He definitely was. He was quoting verses about everybody being created under God's image, right? And all people are created the same, which is one of the foundational things that he spoke about when, fighting and advocating for desegregation, that everybody is created the same under the same God and auspices that we all would follow. And my point is not to come up here and say that you're wrong in your belief that, there's been aspects of Christianity that has delayed or hindered progress. I will 100% concede that fact. But let's not just say that Christianity doesn't also promote progress in specific areas. And I think it's convenient that there are specific things that you will say, like stem cell research and things like that. But I don't think there's any scientist out there that listens to a Christian and says, oh, wait, I went to church on Sunday. This Christian told me I shouldn't continue my work on stem cell research because of God, and now I'm not going to do that. I don't think that exists. So I don't think there's a hindrance in progress that Christians are out there picketing, saying, we don't want stem cell research. We don't want this. We don't want that. We don't really see that often. And there's really no violence coming from Christians, especially today. Now, I'm not saying that as in a whole, right? I'm not saying every Christian feels that way. I'm saying the majority of Christians aren't that way. And we do see progress coming from the Christian side, the Salvation Army, World Vision. There are things that Christians do, missionaries bringing food to people in impoverished countries.
Yeah, they will also, like the Salvation Army will turn people away if they're trans.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, but
that's
they have made.
Fine. That's not.
But
fine.
what I'm saying. It's fine that you're making that argument.
Oh, okay.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is the progress they have made in these cultures and under humanity and under the auspices of Christianity has made progress. And that was my only point. We have made progress under Christianity, and to kind of deny that fact, I think is dishonest, right?
Well,
I don't think we can sit here and say
the argument isn't Christianity stops progress. It holds it back, right?
Yeah, so, but I think
I think it's not like it's not a very good vehicle for progress. Like for the most part, it is very much like don't think critically. It is very much, don't look into like psychology. There's a lot of stuff that like censorship that happens. Science denial. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and I understand that there was like science promotion at one point, and that a lot of like scientists and a lot of the like famous things that, are like major in science were, like done by Christians. But like, I feel like there's a bit of like co-opting at that as like part of the like Christian like ideals. And I don't necessarily see it because like, for instance, Jesus, like his prescription for anxiety, for one, in the Bible says, like, does a flower ever, like worry about the sun coming out the next day? No. And basically Jesus more or less says like, don't worry, just stop worrying, as if that's an answer, right? No, like that's not a good answer. That's not really good advice. So I would say like in that specific instance, that's like magical thinking, like rely on Jesus. Don't actually like try and like narrow down on what the actual problem is or like get therapy or anything. Just kind of like, I don't know, deal with it or just like, don't worry. And I think that's like silly.
Well, I would say in the auspices of like, don't worry. I mean, and not to get into a philosophical debate with you, but I don't think worrying solves anything, honestly. And I think that if you are a Christian,
that's not my point. My point is that you can't just like, as somebody that has like, like generalized anxiety disorder, you can't just stop worrying, right? Like I understand worrying doesn't help things. That's exactly like what Jesus is saying. Jesus is like, well, does the flower not like like,
No,
does the flower worry about the sun? And
I don't
it's
agree with
basically
that.
like lay down any kind of tools or anything and just like let God do its job, right?
Yeah, I think
And
that
I think that that's a very Christian like sentiment, is to not like look for the answers or look for tools, but to rely on faith and the glory of God or Jesus.
yeah, but I don't believe that because I can name about 12 psychologists right now who have pioneered the art of science of psychology that did it under a Christian auspice. So it's not that Christians will say, because there's like Viktor Frankl.
Once again, I understand that you're like talking about Christians that are making discoveries and things, but you're like co-opting it as a Christian thing.
Well,
I
it's
think
under
that
the
they
auspices of the
are
worldview.
also, they are more than just Christians. They are
Yeah,
learned
exactly.
professionals.
Sure.
So
I agree.
I would not rely on their like simply their Christianity for figuring out, you know, like certain
But I think you're
discoveries within
simplifying
psychology.
Christianity, though. I think you're simplifying
I am.
Christianity into this.
I'm trying to show that like what is Christianity? Like we're trying to figure out what is Christianity. And to me, what is Christianity is basically what's in the New Testament. And perhaps what else like is figured out by the church fathers in regards to the Orthodox and the Catholics and go on and so forth. But when it comes to like scientific discoveries, I call that science, not religion, not Christianity.
That's great. Yeah, you can call it science, and that's not what I'm arguing against. I'm not saying that the Christian worldview is everybody that makes a scientific discovery or moves forward a scientific medium, that they're doing it under the guise of Christianity. That's not what I'm saying. My whole point is that these things that we see, and I think that you simplify Christianity into Jesus says this one thing, so we don't actually look at the context of what's actually happening at the time of Jesus
Well,
and
let's
what's
look at
actually
it.
being said. Sure, we can look at anything you want. Sure.
Okay. Let's see. What is that? The Cure for Anxiety. Let's see. First Peter. There's Philippians, praying instead of worrying. Philippians 4:6-7. So let's just go to like Philippians
Sure.
4. Philippians 4. Touch and display. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, whom I love and long for my joy and crown, stand firm in the Lord this way, my beloved. I urge you, Euodia, and I urge to be the same mind in the Lord. And yes, I ask you, my loyal companion, to help these women, for they have struggled beside me in the work of the gospel, together with Clement and the rest of my co-workers whose names are in the book of life. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I would say rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to everyone. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Okay, this isn't even Jesus talking. This is actually Paul talking.
It's Paul, yeah.
Yeah. But still, this is.
But I don't think
I would say
saying-
that Paul is, one of the people that shaped Christianity.
Sure,
one of my arguments is that
I
Jesus
agree with that.
was a Jew and a Judaizer, and Paul was the one that like kind of pushed this Christian ideal. So he's saying right there, like, don't be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your request be made known to God.
Sure.
So basically, like, rely on God.
Mhm.
Don't worry.
But let me answer to that though. So if we take a look, and not to get into this whole psychology thing, but I do believe that worrying or being anxious about a specific thing. Let me paint a picture for you. So I think and I have anxiety. I have generalized anxiety disorder. So I'll say that there are times when I'm feeling anxious about specific things that I have no control over. A test result, right? I don't. There's nothing that I can do about a test result being a negative thing for me. So being anxious or worrying about that specific thing until it actually happens, there's nothing that we can do that doesn't benefit anybody. And I think that's what Paul is saying here, that don't allow your worries and anxious to take over you. You pray to God, pray to these things, live in faith with Jesus, and have an understanding that we cannot control the outliers of our anxiousness and anxiety that we do have. And I think that's true. I don't think that anybody can control a lot of the things that come into their lives. Otherwise, we wouldn't have anxiety. If it can all be controlled and say, this, I don't want this to happen, so I'm not going to do this or whatever. I think that there's a lot of times where we don't need to worry about specific things, because worrying doesn't really do anything except make us worry and make us anxious. It doesn't really solve the problem. And I think in
Right.
solving the problem, that doesn't get us anywhere.
Okay, but here's the thing though. It's not always like that, right? Like you can't just stop worrying sometimes. Like sometimes the like chemicals in your brain don't allow that, right? Like that's where, you know, like SSRIs might be a good thing, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy, those are great things too. But it's not all cognitive behavioral therapy and it's not all SSRIs. But to just like, you know, pray and just like rely on God and not like maybe look into like why you're worrying about these things, I think is like the opposite of progress, right?
Yeah, well, I don't disagree with every point that you made there. I do agree that there should be some kind of investigation into what is causing the anxiety, but I don't believe that being anxious in and of itself is the idea that we should hold on to, that it should be, oh yes, we're going to be anxious today about specific thing, like I can't pay my car payment. Yeah, of course, humanity is humanity. We all commit sin, we all have anxiety, we all are untrustworthy, we all have things that we do to other people. We're sinners, we're harmful, we unalive each other. Those things happen. But I think in like what we're talking about Christianity, I think that we try to live by a moral code that is prescribed within the Bible. You know, within the gospel specifically, there are specific things in there that we can show. And, you know, I don't think anybody would disagree that the gospels are not great in their moral integrity in the scripture. I think we do have some hard questions in the Old Testament. I will agree with you there. But in the New Testament, I don't think we see that a lot of times, where we have these things that we're like, oh, we can't trust that, or that's not really a good way to live by. Because I think in the gospel specifically, we can look at a lot of these scriptures and identify that we do have moral integrity here. We do have ways to live our life. And I think a lot of Christians do make that progress for moral integrity. And we can see that throughout humanity, that, you know, while there are some people that use the Bible with enmity and, you know, with aggressiveness towards other cultures, I agree with that. But I don't believe that as a whole, Christianity can be just subjugated to one box. Okay, so Christianity did this, which means throughout all history, Christianity is X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
And I think prescribing that is just dishonest. I think that and that's just my point of view. So,
all right. Now, what I want to ask you then,
sure,
is why is it though that it seems like the loudest Christians are the ones that are not doing like what you're saying?
You know, I don't really have any specific examples. You know, what I'll say is, okay, so like a major point, and I think there are a lot of times in the era 2010s, really, I think the Westboro Baptist Church was really like at the forefront of that.
That's a really good example.
And so they were a Christian sect. I think they were more like a cult than a Christian church, because all their church members were pretty much family members. They weren't people coming into Westboro Baptist Church as like new followers or new believers. They were all pretty much family that they would go. And I think that's more of a cult-like setting than the actual teachings of Christianity. And I don't think we see a lot of times where Christianity is coming out there being loud about specific things. Now, you might see some Christians on a Sunday or Saturday, you know, out in front of an abortion clinic. It's rare that we do see that, but we do see that, sure.
Rare.
And yeah, it's rare. I mean, rare anecdotally, I don't see that, but maybe you do. Rare, yeah, just rare anecdotally. Like I don't really see that all the time.
I don't know why you would be going to an abortion clinic. Like
I don't know either.
Or even like driving near one. But
I don't
like,
do that. I don't do that.
I mean, that's a like okay, so like Planned Parenthood and the suppression of is a very good example too of just like the results, I think, of people that aren't necessarily the same type of Christian as you. And I think that it's a fair argument what you're saying, that to like lump Christianity all as one, because there's some good Christians out there, is, you know, like a little bit dishonest. And I admit, you know, this is more, you know, I don't have so much space to be like, okay, well, only certain Christians that, you know, blah, 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 blah.
Obviously, yeah.
But like, we got to go by impact here. Like, I get intent, but impact is the biggest thing to me. And I think that the impact is that a lot of Christians are co-opting the actual Christianity that you're espousing, and they're doing awful things. And it doesn't seem like I mean, maybe it seems like you might be doing such stuff, but I don't think that Christians, like as a whole, are doing much to change that. And I think that that's a problem, because now you are part of something that is not necessarily exactly how you say it is, and you are now like perpetrating that because you are calling yourself, you're labeling yourself a Christian. And I get like there's the whole, well, they're not a true Christian and I'm a true Christian, and
oh yeah, no,
from the outsider that sounds like, you know, the no true Scotsman fallacy.
Yeah,
we
that's
have
not
lots of bad actors that do go out in front of like Planned Parenthood, which by the way has like a fraction of the locations now, because you know, very much Christian, like people that espouse a Christian ideal are behind the closing of these places that did more than just, you know, perform AB. You know, there was healthcare that was provided, you know, that was subsidized, that was paid for, that they didn't have to like have insurance for. There was, you know, resources that were given out there. There's a lot of things, testing that was done there that is now shut off because of the idea of like abortion or AB being against their Christian values, against their foundational values. And I don't know if we discussed it much before, but you know, like AB, I don't really see that as a Christian value anywhere. Like as far as like sanctity of life goes, it doesn't say what, like the only thing I can think of is that they say like life begins at first breath in the Bible, and there is like the whole like bitter waters, you know, the old adage. But as far as, you know, like AB being, you know, like anti-Christian or anything, that is more of a modern, you know, like take.
Well,
so like people have co-opted Christianity, and they're using this like Christian thing because like people like Jerry Falwell and others, you know, in the 80s decided to like use it as a vehicle because it's a very powerful vehicle. And I think that personally, what I think that allowed for that to happen is because the like Christian faith is to just, if you have a leader, that leader is God ordained. So you need to just blindly have faith in that leader because that's what God wanted. And that's what Jesus wanted. Don't question them. Don't like try and look it up in the Bible or anything. And this goes as far as like church leaders, like the Catholic Church and the awful things that they did to children, and like the parents that would put trust into these church leaders. The Kanakuk, they used Christianity as a label to like espouse trust with these parents. Because like, oh, you know, of course, I'm giving up my kids to this summer camp. They're Christian, so I can trust them. They're not going to do horrible things. And then now we're finding out that Kanakuk, for example, is doing awful things to these kids, and it's still like a thing. Like it's not being shut down. It's not really even being reported on. You have to like look it up yourself. And I'm like telling everybody that's listening, go look up Camp Kanakuk and like the abuse that happened there. And I would say like, there's problems.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think Sean Ryan did a podcast specifically on that camp with one of the people about that. So there's a whole podcast about specifically that camp. I don't know a lot about it myself, only what was specifically on that podcast. But well, I want to address a couple of your points. The first
Sure.
point that you talked about was about me, saying I'm a real Christian, not like these other Christians. Yeah, I don't believe that specifically. I don't believe that like I'm a real Christian and people who do bad aren't real Christians. What I'll say, and I think we can all agree to this, there are people who use the Bible to do nefarious things
Yeah, and
and say nefarious things.
and there's followers that will not question it because there's verses that say like do not question, and to like that leadership is God ordained, and that like follow your masters, your earthly masters, as you would heavenly, things like that. I think these are problematic.
Yeah. So let me kind of address those points before. So I want to make sure that I can hit some points that I wanted to talk about before kind of getting into other things here. But I do agree with you that there are people who do certain things. I'll grant you that. But that doesn't mean that Christianity as a whole, just like Muslims as a whole, or Jews as a whole, or any other religion, isn't capable of the same things or hasn't done some of the same things. So I think lumping Christianity, I'm using quotes here, Christianity in quote, to say that Christianity is bad because this person did bad, I think that's disingenuous. That's the first point. The second point that I'll make is, and I wanted to ask you a question. Do you think all pro-lifers are Christians?
No.
Great. So we can agree that just because somebody might be pro-life and against abortion doesn't necessarily mean they're Christian. So that's great. So
Now, hold on though. It's disingenuous to not like agree though that the reason why the abortion debate is a big thing in America, and that Roe v. Wade was overturned, was based off of this idea that it is a Christian value.
I don't believe so. I think that there are many people out there, and again, this is going to be anecdotal because I don't know what everybody thinks, right? But I will say that I think most people, because most people actually don't agree with AB, but I think most people can align themselves with not unaliving babies, because what's really happening when you do AB,
they're not ABs are not baby they're not babies.
Okay,
right? They're fetuses.
Same thing.
I understand
Fetus
that
is a Greek word for baby.
I'm sorry. Can a fetus live on its own?
No, but see, now you're going to go into arguments about
No. But there's a difference that I'm trying to make here, right? Now, something like a fetus that is viable outside of a mother or whatever, fine, call that a baby, sure. But what I'm making the distinction here is that there is something that is taking the resources of the person that is holding it. I'm not going to call it a parasite or anything like that, but it is using those resources, and I think that there is a problem. Like if I were to think of like, say you and I had to be like hooked up to each other, and my kidneys failed. I have to use your kidneys. You have no say in this. Maybe at the beginning you were like, oh, I want to help you or something like that. But then we were hooked up together and you don't want to do this anymore. But now everybody's telling you, well, that's against, my religion, and I'm not going to allow you to unhook Benny from your kidneys. How does that feel to you?
Well, I don't think those are the same things. I don't believe that. Why? Because a baby is inherently so that's like saying that a person that's on a ventilator should be allowed to be killed because they need a ventilator to live.
No, it would need your lungs to live. Like that person would need somebody else's lungs, like to constantly be hooked up to that person
Sure.
and use
But are
their
they valuable?
oxygen or stuff like that. So like it's not like we're just unplugging a plug. This is another person like yourself. Like say back to the kidney thing. Like I'm using your kidneys. You need to carry me around, and I am like everything that I'm eating. If like say like or whatever, you know, like I'll be like, you know, as resource heavy as a fetus. But you have to do this, and you have no say in whether or not like you don't want to do it anymore. Like, doesn't that feel kind of weird?
Yeah, it feels kind of weird. It's a hypothetical that doesn't even exist because that doesn't happen.
It's a pretty accurate like explanation of what is going on.
Sure, you can use a hypothetical
without framing, but hold on, without framing it in like babies and, you know, like, oh, like potential Einsteins and things like that. I get that. Like people I don't think they like want to go get ABs. I don't think anybody wants to. There might be like one or two, like, you know, like very one-off kind of situations. But when it comes to like the decisions and everything, those have to be so hard to make. And I think that to like protest and to call them like schmurderers, and then to like quote Jeremiah, like God knew you while he was stitching you in the womb. Yeah. Like that is a very weak quote to justify the like abolition of, you know, this very hard choice. But I think that is a choice that only should be made between like the person that it's affecting and, you know, like maybe the person that has to do it.
Yeah, but I think you're making a subjective argument about how these people feel when they're doing it. I mean, that's kind of a person's subjective preference on, you know, why they're doing it. We don't know the motivations behind every person that, you know, wants to have an AB. What we can see, and we can look at the data, right?
But no. You're
let me just land my plane.
You're getting away from but you're getting away from my point. My point is that there's nothing in the Bible that backs it up, right? Like this is something that was used through the like vehicle of Christianity to like make a hard stance on, and then like to try and use like very weak verses to push this stance when it was very clear that this is like a political like agenda item. I don't even know if like obviously the people don't care because they're not going out and adopting these kids that are parentless. They're not going out and like maybe some are. But there's not very many that are going out and like donating to charities. They may donate to their church. And I realize that a lot of churches run charities, but I don't see that like they're not proponents for, you know, like helping out like immigrants or the homeless. You know, it's basically like after you're born, like good luck. Like we'll fight tooth and nail for you while you're in the womb. But once you're out of it, you know, bootstraps. That's it.
Yeah, but I don't believe that's the case. Let me just land these planes here because, you know, I want to make some arguments to your points here. So we do know that adoptions occur. There's 75,000 to 100,000 adoptions a year. We do know that. So do we know their motivations behind the adoption, if they're Christian or not? No, we don't know that. But we do know adoptions, and we do know adoption agencies exist. So we do know that kids are being adopted. That's number one. We do know that when people use the Bible to, you know, kind of make their point against AB, that's a fair point. You know, I understand what they're trying to do. I understand that they believe, and I believe that every you know, third party person, which I think a baby is a third party person, I think they have a right to life. Now, let me just finish. Let me just land my plane. We have a huge issue with AB. 68 million ABs from 2007 to 2023. 67 million. I don't know if people can wrap their head around that number, but that's 67 million potential babies. Now, for whatever reason they were unalived or whatever reason, we don't know. We do know 95% of ABs are elective. We do know that. We do know it's a very small percentage of ABs that are for health reasons for the mother.
Where did you get that 67 million? Sorry, I don't mean to like...
No, I'll grab the article. Hold on.
that seems like a very large number.
It is a very large number, and I'm going to show you this article. Hold on, let me pull it up. I had it just yesterday. Let me pull it back up.
It's also suggesting still that like people are like willy-nilly getting ABs.
Well, I mean, again, we don't know their specific reasons
Right.
behind it because nobody's going to go in and say X, Y, and Z if they're
That's
even asked.
why
for
it's
them.
hard for me to believe this number. What it would make me think of is like, why would there be so many, right?
Yeah, let me pull up the article. I'm just trying to find it here.
I'm killing dead air here.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Like things that are running through my head are, it sounds to me like if there were so many, then there's an education problem. Like, right. Like abstinence, we know, like an abstinence education or like whatever that is, just basically like avoiding the topic of like premarital sex, which also I'm not sure if Jesus really like says too much about that. There's like abstinence only is not like a good suggestion, right? Like I don't think like it's just blocking people from like learning like what could happen if something were to happen, if people, like people just as like naturally are, going to want to do these things, and they need to know like what the potential outcomes are, and to avoid those outcomes, I think we need to like, practice good education, safe, practices, prevention techniques, things like that, instead of just like espousing like abstinence only or celibacy. I don't ever think that like prohibition is really a good thing. And I'm not saying like to prohibit Christianity either.
No, I understand completely. And I am getting the hold on.
Goofy is saying it's 63 million. Here, I'll let Goofy up real quick, just because
I just had it the
Vinny,
other day.
sorry,
I'm
the
just trying to
source.
find it now.
Hey, yeah, so the source he's talking about is from the National Right to Life organization, which is obviously a biased one. But even still, the source he's talking about, it's not 63 million since 2003. It's 63,459,781 abortions since 1973, since Roe v. Wade. And that's
Okay,
based
that's
off
what
of
it is. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Right. No,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
And that's with this own source adjusting that number themselves for a 3 to 5% undercount and with a miscount in 2005 to 2017. So it's not accurate at all. Mind you, still misrepresenting the data behind abortions.
That's not true. It is right.
Do you want me to show you the source that you're talking about where
I
it
already
says
know
that
the
on the
source.
bottom?
I'm trying to find it.
I
Hold
can
on.
pull it
Yeah,
up.
I just gave it to you.
I
Yeah,
can
I'm
it's
just
trying to
the
find it.
What's Goofy?
trying to find it, babe. I found it. It's from the National Right to
Okay,
Life.
that's great.
National
I'm glad
Right
you
to
found it. I'm trying to find it myself.
www.nrlc.org. I can give you the backslash for the fact sheets as well. It's FS01 abortion in the United States. It's a PDF.
FS01.
So if you're going to bring up that, you need to at least represent it in an accurate manner.
I am representing it. Okay.
No, both the CDC and Guttmacher show significant drops in
Okay,
sustained
what
declines.
did they say? What did they say?
That's okay. I wasn't finished speaking.
What did they say?
Both the CDC and Guttmacher show significant recent drops and sustained declines in abortion rates
how
over the
much
last
total?
25 years.
How much total?
28.8% from 1998 to 2019.
No, how much total abortion?
46.4% from 1990 to 2017. Total abortions fell below 1 million in 2013 and have continued downward to 162,320 in the most recent GI figures. That's Guttmacher for 2017. The abortion rate in America for 2017 was 13.5 abortions for every 1,000 women of reproductive age. So that's less than half of what it was in 1981.
How many abortions in total?
Depends on who you
year?
ask. The CDC has the CDC has a different number than Guttmacher because Guttmacher accounts for all abortion providers in America, and the CDC only accounts for certain abortion providers and certain abortifacient procedures like
Okay, so what's the
mifepristone.
total number?
Depends on who you ask. Again,
I'm asking you
It
on your
doesn't
study.
seem like-
CDC
What are you saying?
the CDC says 629,898.
A year
Guttmacher,
or
yes, the most
okay,
recent
so
year would be 2021.
628,000 a year. Okay, so let's say 700,000 a year for how many years?
Those are very different numbers. 629,000 and 700,000 are very different numbers.
Okay, 630,000, 600.
And
let's
it's
say
not that
620.
it's not that for every year. What I tried to explain to you already, your own source adjusts
My
is that
point
this rate
is that
changes.
there are a ton of abortions that have happened.
Yeah, in the last 50 years, I would agree. There has been a ton.
Millions. That was my whole point.
Yeah, but you
Millions
misrepresented it.
and
You
millions.
said
You
since
said it was since
2003.
2007. Actually,
That's what the
Yeah,
article
2007.
says.
No, it doesn't. It says
What does
since
it say
Roe
about
v. Wade,
2007
since
and
it says
1973,
over the
boss.
last
What does
49
it say?
years. Hold on.
49 years.
What does it say from 2007 to 2023? I don't have the study up. I didn't.
It
find the
doesn't.
answer.
Let me see.
You made that up.
I didn't make it up.
You did. That's
It
okay.
just says
Look
since
through the
Roe
thing.
v. Wade. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
since
right
Roe v.
here.
Wade.
Can you look
The
at?
source
Can you
I
just
have,
type
I'll
in
show you
from
mine as well.
2007? Can you just Control F and try to do 2007?
This is the article that he's talking about right
That's
here. Hold on.
It's not pulling anything up.
And it's since Roe v. Wade, the consequences of Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, but can you look at from two? Can you just Control F and do 2007? Because I'm sure I've seen that. Now I may be wrong.
You're wrong.
That's fine. Can you just not talk?
No, this is one page.
Okay,
I don't
great.
need to Control F. This is it.
Okay. No, that's more than one page.
Hello? His
It's
is
not
more
a
than
very
one page.
long. I mean, I can just read the article here real quick.
Right.
In response to the
No, that's
tragic.
not the article I'm talking about because the article had graphs and everything. So that's not the article then.
Hello? This graph, Guttmacher, the CDC to 1997,
I'm not
CDC
talking
to
about Guttmacher.
1998.
The one that I
see
had
here.
wasn't just a one-page article.
Fact sheet.
I think you just made that up and you misspoke.
Okay,
and
that's great.
okay.
I didn't make it up.
So
if you
show me
found
the
the
source.
article,
So
I'm
find the
trying to
source.
find. I'm trying to find.
You've been
it.
trying for 17 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. 17 minutes. Have you put a timer on me?
Yeah, no, it's just how long you've been spewing bullshit.
this
right?
one?
Meanwhile, I had to have one
Is
like
this-
immediately.
That's the one
if
I
you
had.
remember.
Yeah, that's the one I had up.
Okay.
It's not that
I'm
one
not
either, he
spewing
says.
bullshit. My point is there's been a ton of abortions.
I don't
We
want to
know
hear your
that to
point.
be-
I want
Well,
the source.
don't. Well, you're not on this conversation. Me and Benny Boy are talking.
Oh
So,
well,
like, why
no,
are you-
Goofy. I brought Goofy in, and I
I
think
know.
that a woman, especially,
There's much more to say about this.
Yeah,
That's
you
great.
identify as a woman,
That's-
right, Goofy?
I'm non-binary, but yes.
Okay, of course.
What do you
Notice,
mean by
Goofy,
that?
this is what he did to me when I started talking to
Well,
him.
yeah,
So
because
don't
he
feel
has to dodge because he's getting
I'm not
knowledge
dodging.
gapped,
I'm
and
not
it's
dodging. My
unfortunate
point was
because
there
it's
has
quite
been a
embarrassing for a
ton
grown
of
man to get
abortions.
knowledge
There are two
gapped.
basic
I'm not getting
sources.
knowledge gapped. You don't
You
even
are,
have the right
that's okay.
article. You don't even have the right article.
You can't find the article,
I'm
Bubba.
looking for
I'll
it.
read it.
Don't call
You've
me
been looking
Bubba.
for 17
Don't call
minutes,
me
Pookie Bear.
Bubba. Don't call me Bubba, non-binary person.
Wah.
You're the one whining because I was talking, and you have to come up here and like try to like prove me wrong.
Well, you are wrong.
I'm over it. Jonathan, I'm very disappointed in you, honestly. Like, I feel deceived by you a little bit. No, like
Right.
seriously, like I do feel deceived because when he first came on the show, like not that long ago, it was a very respectful like conversation, and I realize like now, like maybe I'm giving like too much grace.
Well, no, it's
w-
perspective's a lot different when it's a man addressing it with another man. That cognitive dissonance doesn't hit as hard when he feels like you two are peers,
Well,
even if
but
you disagree.
the way that he was treating Dugald though was very similar to how he was treating you though, and like so it sounds, it's almost like and I also realize like Dugald has a much stronger stance on like, you know, against, you know, like Christians, honestly,
Right.
than I do. Like I try and like do this like middle ground diplomatic thing, but
Right, which isn't always.
now I feel deceived because he was just such an asshole to you, Goofy. Like that was ridiculous.
It's very on brand. It's what's the word? It's quite a common practice for, especially if it's a femme presenting person that's intelligent. It's very, very on brand for men like that to get real triggered. But I mean, I jumped in because I was scrolling through and I heard the conversation around Christianity holding back progress, and I was agreeing with you in the comments until he started saying, Johnny was saying wild things before he even moved to the biased source of the righttolife.org. Hello. Before he moved to that, when he was discussing
Oh yeah,
he had made a
sorry, I keep going. Sorry,
No,
I
you're
just
good. He
realized
just-
like the big number at
it's
the bottom.
the right to
1973.
the right to life Right, and he just kept making up stats, and beyond fact checking any of that, he made a claim about something that I'm trying to find because I mentioned it in the comments, because it had to do with Christianity.
He misrepresented my entire point. Like, he was not hearing my entire point at all. That's why I gave up. I was like, fuck it.
Yeah, shocking revelation. Because you guys were talking about churches and their like whether or not
Hospital. And
they're
I
hospitable
wasn't,
and whether or not.
yeah, I wasn't refuting that they were the first to put a hospital in Europe. I wasn't refuting that. My point was, why would I give them credit and say that that's progress when they had erased other societies and cultures
Right.
or held back other ones that had already had those things?
Right, and more notably, what does that have to do with the prostitute in China?
Right.
Like,
hold on, I'm just typing something in chat for
what does that have to do with anything?
But my main thing was, like, you had to point out, like, it was like nobody demanded sources of him whenever he was talking about each and every one of those people and what they claimed and what they said and what they believed and what they studied and what they
Right.
gave to the world. No, but the moment I said anything, and the moment Goofy said anything, suddenly we got to have sources right here, right now. But when we demand the same thing, it's, oh, well,
and what I'm noticing is, like, and I will say this for more than just Christianity, like, I've even seen this with Buddhists. Religion makes people, like, defend some of the weirdest stuff, and they get very defensive. They take it very
Right.
personally, and I get that. But, like, I realized, like, he got very, very defensive when Goofy came on and, like, just started
Yeah.
questioning. And obviously, you're valid. Like, everything that you just said.
I didn't even get to the point that I wanted to, which was because you know how I am about. That's how we met, Benny. Is I was criticizing other Christians up here.
Right.
Because whilst yes, we can credit them, like the monastic hospitals and the basilicas, even the earliest foundations, they are from the legal recognition of Christianity, even pre-Rome. We see this in like 400 AD, 369 AD. We see this in the 4th century with like very early Roman military-only institutions and infirmaries getting expanded to like hospitals. Right? We see this often, but it's the way that, unironically, this is funny. My pastor was just talking about this sermon literally yesterday. Is a lot of Christians love to talk about the things that are good, how the message of love and the message of God and all of these things are true, as a loving, just God, etc, etc, right? But the moment we talk about being charitable, being generous, and being a steward, everybody gets mad. Everybody gets mad. Everybody gets real titchy. Understandably so, because you have pastors like Joel Osteen and these mega church leaders who are robbing people blind and then closing their doors when it's emergent. Right? Joel Osteen closed the doors during the hurricane. We all remember that. And there's a reason that people have that heavy contention, but Christians themselves should be the ones contending that, because of the 38 parables of Jesus, 16 of them are about generosity and stewardship and giving your money away.
Honestly,
and giving your belongings away. And if you have something that you cannot give to other people, it is not something you own, it is something you serve. And service to things that are not God under the Christian belief is idolatry. So arguing that it's not good to give makes literally, he made no sense. That is not to be Christ-like. To be Christ-like is to walk in the way Christ did. If you believe in the Jesus of the Bible, he gave the clothes off his back.
Right. And he questioned, I mean, like, he called people out. Like, I think that it would be more Christian for Christians to call out the, like, bad actors.
It would be.
Because,
it
like,
very much would be.
That's what
it
Jesus
is righteous
did.
Judgment. If you're supposedly a Christian and you see people coming up doing this, even talking on TikTok about their Christianity and being selfish and spiteful and hateful and being bigoted and saying that being gay is a sin and all this silly stuff, you're not being Christian. You are being tainted by the devil. The devil's got you.
And I know, like, Dougal, you've said this before too. Like, we wouldn't have this issue if, like, Christians were, you know, like,
Actually
not
Christ-like?
Yeah, like having these problems, you know, like if it wasn't an issue, then we wouldn't be up here
Right.
like saying these things, like if the like practicing was not like crossing boundaries,
Right.
if there wasn't abuse going on, and like all these like terrible things that you can kind of narrow down to, a lot of it is like
If
the common denominator is that they're using either Christianity
Hey,
or
yes. If it was more so the nature of a loud minority than the very silent majority, because even Christians who aren't engaging in these disgusting things themselves are very quiet when conversations come up. They're very quiet, or they're very they acquiesce to what's happening.
Yep.
Oh, I would never. I understand your contention with those kinds of Christians, but I would never. You would, and you have. I guarantee
Yeah.
it.
That's
Because even
actually what I talk about all the time on my lives. And like Benny said, I say it all the time, but Christians left it at home and at church, then you wouldn't hear a peep out of me.
right.
But
Well,
the
even
problem is you have, and I do get that all the time. Oh, well, that's just bad people doing things they're not representing. I'm like, yes, they are,
they
because none
are.
of you
You like
fucking do
them.
anything about it. None of you go out on counter protests in the name of Christianity. When I go to gay pride, I see a whole bunch of people tell me I'm going to hell, and I don't see not a goddamn one of them turn around saying, no, the fuck they're not.
Right.
So, no.
It's the nature of having the discussions about how there are plenty of pastors and Christians who have latched on to some passage in an effective metaphor to declare the church and the people of the church to be this perfect being, as opposed to being an actual Christian and someone to be Christ-like, is to call out those things, is to openly criticize those things, is to openly condemn those things, is to openly give and give and give as much as you can in the name of, even if you have nothing, God will cover it. There's scripture that says a righteous man has never not known the guiles of heaven, right? Somebody who actually walks in the way of Christ never struggles if you follow your own faith, which means you have to give it all to God. There's no such thing as hate in the eyes of God. There's no such thing as condemnation in the eyes of God. And yes, we are supposed to go amongst the highways and the hedges and preach the word of the Lord thy God, right? God says that we're fishers of men, and we're supposed to get you guys who don't believe in Jesus to, sow a seed in your heart, right? That's the scripture. If that is the case, in what world is it going to sow more seeds in people to believe in God and to believe that walking with Christ is a good and valued thing, if every example they have is disgusting, and you look at those disgusting examples and go, but I would never? Do you see what I mean? Like, that doesn't fix anything. That's how me and Benny met, is because there was a Christian, quote unquote, I use that term loosely, up here saying absolutely heinous things.
Right.
Absolutely heinous things. He was talking about abortion, and he was saying how if abortion is supposed to be a right for women, then women don't deserve that right. Hello?
Well, think about it though. Like most of the Christians, especially in the U.S., tend to be on the conservative side, MAGA.
Contrary to popular belief, that's not true.
Well, I'm talking about his entire voter base. Like a majority
yes.
of it was
A lot of them
was
are.
yeah,
Yeah.
my entire Catholic MAGA family, for example, Roman Catholic at that. So they go against the Pope, which is so crazy to me. But whatever.
Whoa.
But anyway, that's beside the point. But the fact of the matter is, they lend hand in hand, because the Bible teaches them. When you look at politics, I say this a lot. Democrats have 2 answers to everything, and Republicans have 3 answers to everything. Democrats, it's give it a distraction, and the second one is give it a Band-Aid. Right? Those are their 2 answers. Republicans, conservative answers, aka typically Christian answers based on the book, is unalive the problem, send the problem somewhere else, or ignore the problem exists at all.
Right.
And that is exactly what the book teaches, and that's what conservatives do. Even if they don't believe in this God, they still follow that example.
Right. Even in that nature of, and half of it isn't even like research that they understand fundamentally for their own scripture. It's more so to the nature of somebody in charge told me this, and so since they said it, it must be true. So I have to follow.
Yeah, and that was like what I was trying to hit on with Johnny earlier, was like this like blind faith and like defensiveness, like without very much like critical thinking into it. And I just don't understand like why it is. But then I will give it up though. Like I have seen like Buddhists like defend, like the Dalai Lama, and like what there was like this really weird, like where the Dalai Lama was like trying to like suck this kid's like tongue. and it's like this like weird. It was
It's a weird tradition, ritual thing.
it was really weird, but like a lot of Buddhists that I'm like, okay, like they're atheists, they're whatever. They were like defending the Dalai Lama on this, and it's like, no, you need to like separate yourself, like stop, breathe, and realize like what you're saying, like do you hear what you are saying right now? Like, it is okay for this grown man to like suck a kid's tongue. What the fuck?
Right.
Like, and that's like the same thing, but like even more when it comes to like Christians in America.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
Is that blind faith is a tangible affect of believing in the Trinity, of believing in the monotheistic Abrahamic God, right? That is a key aspect in it. Is blind faith, is the belief in things not yet seen, because you can't see God. People who say they can see God are lying. It's scriptural. There are no more prophets. If they're saying they're prophets, they're making it up. If you believe in the scripture, specifically for Christianity. I'm not speaking to any other faith. Please don't crucify me, guys. But specifically for Christians, blind faith is a big aspect of their faith. But if blind faith does not mean just believe what some guy says about the Bible. It means opening the Bible, reading it, interpreting it to its nature, understanding the hermeneutics, big word for Elmo, around the Bible, and understanding the context of what was going on during that time when we changed from Mosaic law to the law of grace, what still applies, what doesn't apply, why it doesn't apply, specifically, emphatically, why it doesn't apply, etc, etc. And they don't do any of that. They just hear their pastor say something and they say, well, that must be true. He's a man of God.
Right.
What?
I do have a guest here, Elohim's son. Can I get your age just real quick?
So I'm 28.
All right. And what brings you up?
Prove to me accepting LGBTQIA plus is good.
Is he driving or something?
Yeah, like sorry, you're coming through like really terribly.
Oh.
Broken and unreadable, boss.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better. Are you driving?
No, I'm not driving.
You sure?
Yeah. Are you...
So yeah, prove to me LGBTQ is good, because
bro, you gotta fix your sound. I got somebody else here. Goofy and Dugald, though, the only way that you would be able to like join in the conversation is by like going to the tinyurl.com/deconcall. Otherwise, like
I know the drill.
I don't know the drill.
So basically, when I bring these people on from YouTube, they don't, for some reason, the sound doesn't come through to the guests. The people that are watching can hear. So if you want to hear, like, so this is basically going to be 1v1 with me and this person, Strange Gnome, String On, or something like that. So yeah, just drop if you want to listen in, and then I'll bring you back up. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just going to try and do this real quick. But thank you so much, Goofy, for like everything. Seriously. All right, Stragnon. What? Can you get your age real quick?
You can call me Devin. I don't know why I put that. Just call me Devin.
All right, Devin. So what brings you up? And what? Well, actually, can I get your age real quick, and then what brings you up?
Yeah, I'm 24. I would like to say first, I'm not religious. I'm not really that political either. I mean, like, maybe I fall a little bit to the right, but only a little bit. First, I would like to talk about like God, first of all, as a non-religious person. Sure. Definitely real. Okay, definitely real. I know that's like not really proof. I know that face, like, oh, okay. There's no way for me to prove it to you. Okay.
Hey, Dr. Joe.
But it's literally
go on.
Literally just like the subconscious, you know? So our subconscious is all shared, and that is God. It is not a religious thing in terms of like a man in the sky and shit. So I would like to say that first, because I always think that's really sad, because that's true connection, you know? And so when people focus on religion and they focus on physical proof and evidence, they tend to miss the bigger picture, which is just overall connection between our subconscious, which is what God is. It's the bigger picture,
like,
right?
Let's talk about this connection between subconsciousness, of multiple people, like their subconscious is connected. How? Like, can you give an example of like a connection that you're talking about?
Honestly, I can't. But so I know from my perspective, it's true because the physical world interacted with it in terms of acknowledged it. It sounds fucking crazy, okay? It sounds like some nutball shit,
No,
but
I think like you're just having a little bit of a like an issue trying to like describe it.
you can't, you
Possibly.
can't describe it with words. You can't describe it with words. It's a feeling. You can't describe it with words. You can't describe it with proof or evidence. It's just an experience, okay? And it's when your conscious is able to experience the subconscious, which is something that subconscious does not want to happen. Your subconscious doesn't want you to experience it consciously because that's bad. That's like where bad shit happens. But if you are, so this is where like religion comes in, because maybe it's like if you are trusted with that kind of experience, then maybe your subconscious will kind of give you a peek behind the curtains, you know. Um, but that's my first point. Just I think it's really sad whenever people.
I failed to see like anything like transcendental. So like when I think of like subconscious, right? I think of you know, like how consciousness is kind of perceived as far as humans. And don't get me wrong, there's the thing called the hard problem of consciousness when it comes to like philosophy. And when it comes to like the conscious and the subconscious, what that makes me first think of is Carl Jung, which is a famous, he was a psychologist in a way, similar to around the time of Freud. Freud also like had theories about the subconscious. Now there was the idea of the collective subconscious that Carl like Jung, I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, did like discuss. Like, so for instance, the collective subconscious can be seen a little bit in the shared like stories that a lot of different cultures have, like the like stories that are like about snakes or stories about a hero. And in fact, like Joseph Campbell has books about this, like the Mask of a Thousand Faces, I think, or the Hero of a Thousand Faces is one of his books. Another book by Joseph Campbell is just like Myth, basically, is what it's called, and basically how myth came to be, and it's very Jungian or Jungian in its sense. That doesn't necessarily like show to me anywhere like a creator, other than like I could explain that by older civilizations having problems with snakes and stuff, or like the idea of a hero journey, and then other civilizations, you know, like branching off and evolving these stories, or and keeping the main like aspects of certain parts. Like the snake is still like kind of a fearsome creature, right? Because it's venomous and it's scary and different. We see that in Christianity. I don't know if a designer or creator is shown in any of these things that you're discussing. Now, shared subconscious in any other type of way, like are you saying like people dreaming and talking to each other in dreams?
It's a living, breathing experience. It flows between us. It is us. I know it's like I can't really describe it with words, but I've definitely experienced it firsthand. I've personally experienced it. People call it schizophrenia or whatever the fuck, but it's not. It's very real, and that's
so
all
can
the
you
fucking proof
rule
I
that
have.
out? Can you rule out something like schizophrenia or any kind of like
Yeah, I can because
like
the physical world interacted.
Okay, so
The physical world.
like how?
So okay, so this is how I know. Like it's like a footnote kind of thing. I was at work, and the way you have to do it, it's like you can't consciously touch on it. You can't consciously do it. And I was at work, and I was talking to a coworker about this exactly, basically, and I was able to tap into it, and he basically acknowledged that it sounds ridiculous, but he acknowledged it. And for me, that was the physical world interacting and confirming my beliefs of that. And honestly, I don't really want to go even this much into it because there's no way for me to prove it.
That's fine.
I don't really want to.
So
I don't really want to go into that much.
My whole point is that I believe that things like hallucinations, auditory, visual, even like some that are like haptic in a way. Like I've had dreams that I swear like somebody in my dream like touched me and I felt it, right? I think that the brain is a very, very, very powerful thing. And I think that like somatic responses and outcomes are things that we can explain naturally without having to like bring in this like whole like spiritual side of it. And I think that it's best to like sit and try and rule out the things that we can
Well, that's
like.
what I've been trying to do my whole life because it drives me crazy, right? Because it's a really scary thing to think about. So trust me, I kind of like went for a while. I wanted to not believe in it, but that experience, you know, it can't really hide from that. That
Have
was
you?
like a breaking point where
And I don't want to like try and like diagnose
call
or
me crazy.
anything like that. No. But like, have you seen like talk to anybody like professionally about this, like that maybe has more experience with this sort of thing, just to rule it out? I mean, like maybe they'll come back and say like, hey, you're not like
Well, my question is,
this
why
disorder
would
or
I?
any of that. Like you're not experiencing these things, and that would only help your claim, right? So I'm just
Well,
wondering,
and it's not
have you
harmful.
considered
It
that?
doesn't hurt me. It's not harmful, so I don't know why I would even want to rule it out when it's the sense of there's something bigger to me, there is something greater to me, there's something greater than what I'm experiencing right now. I know I mean, like, there's a 50-50 chance when you die, basically, it's just gonna be nothing. But like, why would I believe in that? If I can have this experience and choose to believe what I see, why would I not? Why would I rule it out? I mean, obviously, you rule it out for science and whatnot,
Well,
but
because if it is, you know, like something that is only you know, like happening to you, and it's not being experienced or anything by anybody else, and like anything like, you know, rash were to like be like suggested or anything, I do get concerned for, you know, like the people that aren't seeing or interacting with what you may be. And it does seem like you're a little like agitated or like not like angry or anything, but maybe like
no, I just
nervous.
yeah,
It
nervous.
seems
I'm
like you're
always hot,
pacing and
you
stuff.
know,
uh and and
talking in front
you
of a
don't
bunch
have
of
to
people.
worry about nothing like that. What I just would suggest is maybe like trying to think about like what could be ruled out that we can like explain, because hey, I've seen things, I've you know, I've experienced things on different levels of, you know, like consciousness, I guess we'll just say it, certain chemicals and what have you. But
What have you experienced?
you know, actually I've had like shared like, you know, where people did see the same thing that I saw. But again, the brain is a very, very, very powerful thing. Suggestion
It
is a
is.
very powerful thing. I think that we don't quite know the brain. It is very much like an ocean, right? Like we only know like
Yes.
so much of the ocean, right? And we don't know uh like most of the rest of it, right? And I think that the brain is very similar to that in a way. And I just think that if we can rule stuff out with what we do know, then that is better than to just like jump to things that we can't quite uh prove, you know? So like that's
I
just
mean,
my take on it.
frankly,
But I think
yeah.
it's fun. It's fun to like, you know, explore these things, but to like be so convinced or like convicted into something and just be like 100% it's this and it's nothing else. It's just, you know, like as a
How can
skeptic
that be
in
harmful?
any ways, like I would just, you know, I don't like to like say 100% on anything, right? Like I can't even prove that I'm real, right? Like we could all be in a simulation and we're just zeros and ones or something. So
Well, I think it's
it's
where
more
faith
so
comes
like
in.
we got to kind of stay within the bounds of what we know and what we can know. And if we get outside of those bounds and you know, maybe like outside of the testing of them, then we can consider like the paranormal or the supernatural.
I'm gonna be frank though. I'm not interested in disproving it as unintelligent as that sounds or whatever, because it does give me a purpose that there is something going to be better or bigger than this, and
Okay.
that it's not going to end. So I'm not really interested in disproving it.
Yeah, but you don't believe like it's not gonna like tell like you're not saying that this is something that you are like what am I trying to say? Like imposing upon another person. Like say they don't want to hear it, you're not like sitting there trying to like say like no, you have to listen to me or something like a Christian would.
No, I'm not Christian. So I just,
Right,
I mean,
right, right.
I want people to experience it for themselves, because it is crazy, and it not crazy, but it's just so bigger than us. I want people to experience it for themselves, but I know people won't be able to experience it for themselves as long as they look for that physical proof and they look for that evidence, because that's focusing on the smaller pictures, and the only way to do it is to focus on the bigger. So, but I'm not gonna ever like tell anybody you're dumb or wrong or for
Right.
not believing anything. So
Well,
no,
and I
but
don't. I hope I'm not doing that to you either. Like, I just want to
no.
make sure that like I'm not like trying to invalidate anything that you're saying. I just want to make sure that we're
You
just
are
kind of having
deciding.
this discussion, you know, like this, because I think that it is interesting. I think that like the metaphysical can be interesting, especially when it comes to like personal experiences and things like that. But I guess like, and I'll land this plane real quick here. My argument, I guess, is just to keep an open mind on both ends, right? Which is skepticism is still also like being open minded to like only say like something like spiritual or something. You are kind of closing yourself off to perhaps even like something else, you know. Like I'm not saying that it is just nothing, you know, like after you unalive or anything like that. But like
Be open
it
minded.
could be, you know, like that's just something that I'm open to, and I'm just like not really sure on anything. I do have my leanings, things like that, and I lean more towards what you know is kind of observed and what to expect. But there's still parts of me that want to believe, right? Like there's parts of me that watch like scary ghost videos and
Well,
stuff and think like,
if
wow,
I may,
what, you know,
if I
stuff like
may,
that.
and
Go
you
on.
say you want to believe, if I may, and you say you want to believe, and I know this is not going to do anything. If you want to believe, I'm telling you, it's 100% real. I know that has nothing, that has no value to you, but from my, just to tell you, since you want to believe, I'm telling you, it is 100% real from my view. But that means nothing from my view. Okay, but just
No,
telling you,
and honestly, it,
99.99999% real. There, I'll put it like
yeah, I
that.
mean, like, hey, and that's kind of that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that like you're good and that this is like, you know, a good like exchange of ideas and discussion, without like, you know, me like trying to say like, oh, you're just out of your mind and like this, that, and the other, and like just completely invalidate you, because I think that everybody's perspective is worth it, right?
What I think is that's what I don't like from an atheist, because I used to be an atheist. I used to be a Satanist. I used to be an atheist, and then I became a Satanist, and then I had this experience and whatnot. But that's what I do notice from a lot of atheists is I feel like atheism sometimes takes the stance of unintelligent, closed-minded, no way, zero chance,
And
blah blah blah,
it
and I hate
can
that.
be,
I hate that so much. I think
yeah.
agnosticism, if you're agnostic, right, that's the true stance of intelligence. To have, I'm not sure, maybe, maybe not. But I think atheism takes just as much faith in the opposite direction as my stance, right? I just think it
I get
depends on
you.
your outlook. If you want to believe in something more positive, something bigger, it's up to you. If you want to believe in the opposite, that's up to you. You
All
know,
right. Well,
I just don't know what.
okay. Well, I think we've hit a little bit of a common ground here. I would agree that like agnosticism is probably a good way to go, but you know, each journey their own, right? And obviously, I think you've experienced something that is very, very like, you know, it hit close to home and it's very real to you. I just wanted to like, and it sounds to me like you have thought about these things pretty like critically. And I just am glad that we were able to get that, you know, like kind of, you know, like out in the open and everything, because, you know, there was like a sense there at the beginning where I was just like, oh geez, you know, like I hope this, you know, like isn't something that could have been you know, maybe a hallucination or something and they're just running with it. But no, it does seem like you might be questioning these things and that you're going about this in a what I would say a healthier way than a lot of others, even like atheists, right? Like atheists can be stubborn
A little,
and
a
yeah,
little.
and it's not very healthy. So that's just kind
Yeah.
of where I wanted to get. But hey, strange one, you're not really that strange to me, okay? But I am gonna try and move on with the show. I like
Well, I
what you
think
had to say,
your mod,
but go on. Yeah, what's your
your
final
mod, your
thoughts?
mod, your mod did ban me in the chat for basically no reason. I wasn't saying anything crazy. I was just disagreeing with abortion because I am against abortion. I was just randomly poofed. You know,
Oh,
you could read the chat. You could ask
okay.
people. Wasn't saying
What
anything
was
crazy.
your name in the on the YouTube?
Strange one.
Oh, it's just strange one. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll have to like check into it. It might have just been a mute, which we can't undo, unfortunately. But sometimes they, the mods will try and keep it. They try and keep the peace a little bit. So like they don't want too much debating
You
going
can
on.
read it. You can
But
read it. I
yeah,
wasn't. I was
I'll
honestly
review it
arguing more than that.
for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, and I really appreciate you coming up, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. Okay.
I appreciate your brain because you're not like the other ones.
Well, thank
But
you.
thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Hey, you have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Yep. All right. Dr. Joe, unless you have a uterus, you don't get a vote on women's health care. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. The mods are antagonism. Well, now, I hope not, but I trust my mods for the most part. That was a very interesting conversation. It got me a little scared at first, but I think that strange one is in good faith. I think that he was definitely, like at least somewhat critically thinking about the things he may be experiencing, enough to where he knows that if things get too crazy, then you're not crazy, but like, wild, to maybe look a little further into professional stuff. So anybody that's actually on either YouTube or TikTok, box is open. If you're on TikTok, you can click the little request button. It's a little pink and blue person in the bottom here, and we can have a discussion about any of these topics. I would like to have a civilized conversation. Hopefully, I can kind of demonstrate that I am in good faith here. I don't want to try and search for a W. Like it says, change my mind, right? Like I'm okay with changing my mind. I'm not. Maybe it's my own personal test, right? Is to be open minded on things and to allow my mind to be changed. I don't like being stubborn. So yeah, if you think you can, sure, join up. Otherwise, if you're watching on YouTube, you can join the call by going to tinyurl.com/deconcall, and I will get you up onto the show. Let's see. Otherwise, I will read chat for a little bit here. Let me read it from this window. What's going on? And Christianity held back or continues to hold back? I mean, I think both. The Torah is the first few Western Bible verses. If you need, well, it's actually the Torah is the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. I think I explained. Okay, that I am an atheist. I stand for goodness, kindness, compassion, respectfulness, justice, and peace. But the Bible advocates for hate, immorality, and harm, and I disagree with that. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of you can make that argument. You could certainly make that argument. Some people may be flowers of other faiths and religions. They may not appreciate a prayer from another. Agreed. They may not appreciate a prayer. And that is why in the YouTube chat, there is a rule about not praying without consent. The reason why I have that rule, and we as the community of Deconstruction Junction, which I'll get into that here in a second, have that rule is because, I don't know how Christians out there, how would you feel if I said, I'm going to sacrifice to Satan something for you tonight? That probably doesn't feel so great. So when you say hey, I'm going to pray for you, it doesn't really feel that great. It sounds to me also self-serving, to where it's well, I'm just going to pray for you, which is pretty much just me, or somebody saying hey, I feel like I'm better than you, and I'm just going to go pray or something like that. It just seems very self-serving. So that's why we have that rule in there. Let's get into the Discord. So the YouTube page is called Deconstruction Junction. What that is actually a Discord channel, and that you can get there by going to discord.gg/deconjct. We have over 6,000 members in the Discord. Me and a number of streamers that are on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, all over, that do kind of religious debates or political debates, head up the Discord. People like Deconstruction Zone, Justin, people like Thinker. There's Volcy, my friend Volcy. There's Crystal J. There's all kinds of really good streamers that we help out, and it's a community basically for people that want to separate the indoctrination from who they are. You don't necessarily have to be an atheist. You don't necessarily have to be a full-blooded, religious person. Basically, that you're open to critically thinking, and that you're willing to, deconstruct, like your beliefs, or maybe your political leanings, things like that. It's mostly about religion, for the most part, but I'm willing and I want the idea to be, expansive, like deconstructing misogyny, deconstructing, racism, deconstructing your politics, to find out like what you truly in your heart of hearts feel, and it's not what's going on of like what you're being told or maybe persuaded in any sort of way. So yeah, that's what the Discord is. We also use it to platform other streamers, people that come on. You can promote yourself. We just had like a kind of like a running event thing for like singles. It's called the Mingleverse, and it's not necessarily for like people to be speed dating or anything like that, but it is too. It's also a way to like, have a community basically, because a lot of people that do leave churches, the number one thing that they miss is the communal aspect, the community. So that's what we're trying to like kind of provide. So yeah. Otherwise, back to chat here while I'm waiting for a guest. And like I said, if you're watching on TikTok, please share out the live, tap the back of the screen, share it out to your favorite or least favorite person. Let's see, YouTube chat. People are just debating each other. People want to debate, but they don't want to come on the show, apparently. The point of queerness isn't a gender identity, it's a political identity. Oh, hold on, we got somebody here. I can hear him. Reclaimer, are you there?
Yes, I'm back. I don't know if you remember, but last time I had class and then you were over one of my classes.
Yeah, okay. That was just like a few days ago. Well, it's not really necessary debates. Sorry, not you, Reclaimer. Cyber in the chat here was asking any good debates. We've had some pretty decent discussions. We had a little bit of a debate earlier. Reclaimer, so yeah, I verified you age-wise. So what brings you up?
I mean, I was this time I was a little hesitant about joining because your points I don't necessarily disagree with as much.
We can
the first
talk
one I
about
agree
something
with
last time too. Like that's fine.
Yeah. We were talking about you considered it selfish or possibly offensive for someone to pray or say I'm going to pray for you, and you were just talking about how it's a little bit pretentious and self-righteous.
Mm-hmm.
And could you expand on that a little bit more, just for the sake of this?
Well, so like the idea of prayer, as I read it in the New Testament and even the Old, it's an expansive thing. But from what I remember from at least like, was it Thomas? That basically prayer should be private, right? Between you and, God or Jesus. So to like make it public or to like say like, I will pray for you, does seem a little bit self-serving. or like it seems like a dig at another person. Like that shouldn't be something that really matters or needs to be expressed, right? Like it should just be between you and your higher deity.
Okay. Would you necessarily disagree with praying for someone without telling them that you're going to do it?
No, I think that
privately?
that's fine.
Okay.
I think that praying for people, I think that that's actually like in its way like not selfish, but like to like tell people like, oh, I'm gonna pray for you because you're like an unbeliever or something like that. Like it's kind of the rhetoric that goes beyond it, or there will be like proselytizing that goes on in like chat rooms where people will just start like praying like in random comments, and it's just like, what brought this on? What is going on? Like, sir, this is a Wendy's. Why are you like praying like for something really random, like type of thing. So that's kind of what I meant more for. And like, as far as like getting consent and stuff, I think that that's appropriate because like I said, like if another religion, just like think of it, like just put yourself in the other shoes. If somebody from another religion were like, oh, I'm going to go pray to Allah on your behalf or something, you might not be very comfortable with that, depending on what your religious views are. So I think that it's just proper to just ask somebody, is it okay if I pray for you? Like that's not hard to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And people typing out prayers is problematic because it seems like you're praying to the chat instead of praying to God.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, like what does God check the comment section?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Hold on, I'm gonna bring
I
in.
see what you mean there.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring in Eric here. Eric, just because it's a little bit difficult to like keep people. With TikTok, it's a little easier to like keep it like 1v1 and stuff. But like Eric, can I just get your age real quick, and then what brought you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 35.
Okay.
What brought me up is I come across these streams quite often where there's some good faith debates going on about change my mind, and I'm just open to just discussing different concepts and theories and beliefs and kind of seeing where everybody's at.
Okay. I'm gonna hop back to Reclaimer real quick. So Reclaimer, was there anything else you wanted to like touch on? Otherwise, we can let like Eric maybe lead the discussion or go on.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's see. I'm forgetting now. I think you said something about I would be comfortable if a Satanist were to tell me that they were to sacrifice for me. And I would say the difference there is, whether or not consent is given, that's an objectively bad thing to do. So I don't think that's the best comparison that you can make.
Yeah, like when it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, yeah, that's just like not good in all aspects. But that's why I changed it to like Muslim and praying to Allah, or like maybe like a pagan saying like I will pray to Hecate. I will like write a sigil down and do naughty things to myself and then burn the sigil, because that's like that's how some black magic's done.
In instances like those, to me it seems like the worst that can happen, at least as far as my own safety or offenses is concerned, is that this person's going to be talking to a false god who can't hear them. And I don't see. I personally wouldn't be offended by that, but I do see the value, and there's different ways to kind of reach out to people and show your kindness. And if some people like to be prayed for, I certainly do, and some people, respond better to other kinds of service. And I think it's best to target that based on the person, and not force not force anything on anyone.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of the a bit of the point in the Bible about like prayer and kind of keeping it between yourself in God or anything like that. And I think that like even more so, I'm not sure if it mentions like how you should be praying and things like that. Like if you are able, like some people will use like prayer like as like a wish list, right? And I'm not sure if that's like how it's laid out in the Bible.
We do have a clear precedent of the Our Father prayer, but
Mhm.
I would divide prayer into you have thanksgiving, and then as you so crudely, well, the wish list part is a factor too.
Okay.
Thanksgiving, wish listing, and also praying on account of other people, which is what we've been talking about before. Those three are some core elements, but yeah, the Our Father is the clearest precedent set.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't sure on that because I was just like, geez, is that really like how like can you like pray to win the lottery? Like that seems just weird to me because like if the say the prayer, like say you do win the lottery, right? Now you have a problem because like you won the lottery, great, God loves you or something. But like what about the people that are praying, like for the sick? And the sick aren't getting better.
Yeah. So yeah, praying for the lottery would kind of be counter. That's like just kind of greedy, and that's asking God for something that would kind of worsen your situation or your ability to think morally because of all your money. But
But it happens, right? Like I've had, and I do want to run. Like, have you ever had a prayer answered? And Reclaimer, and you might not feel comfortable like talking about this because like if you can kind of guess where I'm going to lead the conversation with a follow up.
Well, I'm personally, I'm not a Christian, but
Oh, you're
I'm
not?
very
Okay.
and I don't feel personally that any prayer has been directly answered in a way that's so clearly
Okay.
conceivable to me. But I do enjoy when people pray for me because there is a chance, and I think it's a good chance, that
So what are
that
you
gets answered.
then?
Well,
If I may ask,
I'm
if I can ask.
I guess agnostic doesn't feel comfortable to me because I don't rest in my lack of knowledge. It bothers me that I don't know. So I would call myself a truth seeker.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who feels
Amen.
cautiously optimistic about what's in the Bible, the promises of everlasting life, and all that business. Because who doesn't want to live forever?
I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I actually do. Like I actually shape like so when it comes to like philosophical debate, I'm such a like a fence sitter on so many things. Like so when people get into the hard philosophical like fallacies and this and that and are you a realist or you're non-realist or anything like that, I had to like shape my philosophy into I want to basically I'm like a transhumanist. I want to like be able to download my consciousness into a robot that can basically like fly through the galaxy and cosmos and live forever or become a vampire or something like that, but not lose like my goodness. Like basically to live forever until I don't want to. So I could just,
There's technology out there that incorporates a part of that already.
Yeah, I know. And like transhumanism is something that's interesting. And I fear that a lot of Christians, like hardcore Christians or like the ones that may not represent Christianity the way it's meant to, would be against that because that's playing God or what have you.
Wait, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, Eric.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, dude, I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah, you're in on the conversation.
Very cool.
So yeah, but I don't know if I want the Christian eternity.
Well, I was just about to say that the difference between the transhumanism thing and the Christian eternity is that you don't have to live forever in an imperfect world. The promise is that not only will you live forever, but you'll get to live forever in perfect union with the Creator and with a bunch of other sinless beings, perfect happiness and joy. It's like I don't know. I don't. Why are you? Why do you resent that? I'm curious.
Well, so part of me thinks that eternity is also long. So like that I do like the idea of like where the like being able to download my consciousness into something that where like natural like disease or anything like are no longer a problem. But I could still have the choice, right, to end it. Right, like to just, go blank. Say like if that's even possible, right? But the idea of like not having that choice it makes me feel powerless to like think of this like eternal life, whether it be in hell or heaven. And like a lot of arguments, especially like on the Catholic end, will say like, well, you'll be so blissful that you won't care. And it's like, well, then will I still be me?
Yeah, you will be you. And I have heard of something, and I'm not an expert on the last day and the second coming stuff, but there is a perspective of annihilationism that people who are in hell on the last day will cease to exist. And so that would also be an extension of your free will to choose not to exist or to live apart from God. But there's some, I don't know. I'm not an annihilationist. I haven't looked too much into it.
There's different theories on it. It's not really like clearly laid out. Really, there's like mentions of like you will burn, and people will say, well, that was metaphorical. Like you wouldn't actually burn. You just, it's a spiritual burning or some, things like that. And it's like, well, that's not really too clear. And I would like a little bit more clarity on that. If I were to be completely honest, and maybe that's selfish of me. But otherwise I'm just like, it sounds like bullshit. To be completely honest, like I have like really tried to like sit down and consider what like a soul could be, what like what consciousness comes from, what like why do I feel like there isn't a designer and things like that. And what I've like come to is that and this might be selfish in a way, it's just like there's just like too much bad shit that happens that if there is a designer, then they just suck. Like as if like humans are like their number one thing. Like I just think about a lot of my friends that I've experienced, a lot of people that have passed away that I've known throughout my years, and they passed away not like self-deletion or anything like that. Even it was just they passed away in like like accidents, or like a random like pulmonary embolism, like that's happened. And I just think about how they were robbed of their future if there is this designer. And I just think like why allow that? And like I guess it just doesn't make sense to me unless that designer is like a sick person or designer.
May I pick your brain?
deity. Sure.
Completely understandable. There's an absurd amount of suffering happening everywhere at all times forever. Especially seemingly to people that
I am a bit of a pessimist. Sorry. I'd like to like
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, no, and understandably so. So and it seemingly happens to people that others deem non-deserving, right? It always happens to quote unquote good people that shine light and that lift people, that are great people of society, etc. I think that the aspect of suffering is one of the main reasons we are down here. I think that without suffering, you don't have so many other things that come from the opposite of suffering that you don't appreciate without the existence of suffering.
Yeah.
Now, I also this might be kind of a weird thing, but I also believe that that some people that shine very bright are taken away from this plane because they're needed more in a different one.
And
I
I
think
think
that
that's a beautiful. I think it's a beautiful sentiment. Don't get me wrong. Like I really do, and I hope that that's true. I really do, because otherwise, if it's not, then it is just like it's shitty, or it's meaningless, or chaotic. So like, yeah, if it is like they're more needed in another plane, or perhaps there's something, it's part of God's plan or something. I don't know, but it seems to me that just from my own observations, that there isn't really any rhyme or reason to it. That we are in a moment of order, in a universe that is mostly disorder, and I think that we are products of selection bias, where we assign and there's a little bit of like philosophy that I am getting into here, where it's like we assign purpose to things that we like wouldn't experience if it didn't happen any other way. And like, so like a lot of people will say like, oh well, there has to be a designer, or like fine tuning is a thing because there's a constant, and if it were any other number, then the universe wouldn't be like able to support life, this, that, and the other. But that's like saying that you're like, for instance, it's in a way to me, it sounds like saying like, oh, well, your nose was designed to hold glasses, not the other way around. Right. And I personally think that life, evolved to fit within the universe, and that, like if it were any other way, perhaps, the constant would be a different constant. But it just so happens that whatever, like in the universe is going on, in the earth is within the Goldilocks zone and everything like that, that it supported life, that life did emerge from it. But I don't know if there's like any purpose, and that to me justifies some of the injustices I've experienced, as far as like one of my friends, and I don't like to like get too like personal about stuff like this, but like one of my friends, for instance, he never knew that he had this like problem with his aorta. They got into like a wreck, my group of friends, and we were just outside, like I don't even think we were 21 yet, and they weren't even going like over 25 miles an hour. He was sleeping in the back seat, and they like went in, they tried to like get around this construction zone. The person driving kind of like veered off, or like lost control because of the like gravel or something like that, but they weren't going very fast, and his car got pinned between a retaining wall and like a tree, and it wasn't really that like hard. Well, thank you, partner. It wasn't really like that bad of a crash, but like he bumped his chest just so like just in the right way that it exploded his aorta. And I've thought about like what got him there, and like like why did that happen, and it really got me into this like very existential like mode. And the only thing that ever like can satisfy me as far as like this person's unaliving is that there is no purpose to it, that it was just a freak thing, that his dad carried a gene that made his aorta like thin, even though he played a lot of football, got into a lot of like tacklings, and hit his chest plenty of times. It just so happened that this one time he just hit it just right to where it got him. And like there was plans, there was a lot of like future for this person, and it just ended it. And that was crushing to everyone that knew this person, and it just, there was no justice that came of it. There's no way that I could like see any way that like, other than weird platitudes, that would just be like, oh well, God needed them or something like that. That would make people feel comfortable as long as they just let themselves believe that.
Then perhaps, and of course, I don't have any answers, right? Any definite answers. None of us do. But I think that maybe it was somebody within his life, maybe his parents or his friends, maybe you, that needed to be drawn closer to those thought processes. Maybe without that happening, you never would have questioned anything, and you never would have thought in a certain way that perhaps God wanted you to go down and figure out and think about and discuss. Maybe stuff like that happening is why you're doing what you're doing today.
Yeah, and then I would ask, like, well, doesn't that rob him of his free will, though? Like my friend.
I think that it's well, good question.
It now like turns my friend into like this pawn, like within this like game. So like, and I thought about these things like a lot. I used to like, it got me almost to where like I was, like obsessive over it. I even got to where like I blamed this other friend that had like got them kicked out of an apartment that caused them to move and then take this job that was the reason why they were driving late. They had to work at this bar and everything, and it was like
okay.
And I was like
Yep.
like falling down this like spiral of causation and stuff, and it's I can't like come up with any like good reason for it. And when it comes to a lot of things, and it's not very comforting to a lot of people, but what is comforting to me is that like there's so much that could be that we can like actually put our heads around, that we can like explore those possibilities. And also like I think it's comforting to know like that like chaos is, because like I believe that in like chaos theory, honestly, which is shown over and over again in many different methods. In turbulent water, it's shown in how like groups of people act and interact. It is shown in all kinds of ways, and that makes the most sense to me. And like that knowing, I think kind of like to like quote Reclaimer is like the truth seeking, like the actual truth that goes in there.
If I could re-enter
Sure.
something that I think you were also a question that you were kind of raising towards the beginning of this discussion was, why is there suffering in the first place? Like, not necessarily why does it happen here and here and
Yeah,
not
like
here,
the problem of
but
suffering is certainly a problem.
but the problem of suffering as a whole is something that I found a suitable enough answer for with the Christian argument from Genesis. It's that the only place where God isn't is in sin. And whenever Adam and Eve reject God, or they eat from the tree, it's not like the fall has so much more weight than I initially thought it did. If you really think about it, not only are humans afterward, sinful and everything, but also like nature itself. I think it says somewhere, nature itself groans under the weight of Adam's sin. Everything changes. The perfect the perfection of the Garden of Eden is utterly transformed. And and I would, when I was asking, why do natural disasters happen where people die as a result of no evil but just a natural occurrence? And I would say because nature itself is fundamentally changed by the fall. Yeah. And
So
also,
I mean, and this is something that like, sorry, go on. You said also. I'll let you.
this is kind of a secondary point, but death itself is a mercy, because in this kind of deformed state of nature, if people were to live forever, their evil would also be forever. So it makes sense that death has to happen to me. It's the end of your suffering as a
Right.
result of the
And
evil.
that's when. So, okay. The thing that like, so what it comes off to me, just like as a skeptic, right? Is cope. That it sounds like coping. And I don't even think it's like necessarily like Jewish or even Christian. Like Genesis, I think is very similar to like the story of Pandora's box. And I think a lot of misogyny has sprung up from that like story, even in the Pandora's box thing, like to put a lot of blame on women, and then to like also describe women as like a product of a man, and as when men are the product of a deity. I think that there's like beautiful poetry and beautiful reasoning that's going on in there, but it feels like God of the gaps to me. It just feels like something that was told to justify the like just horrid shit that can happen. And I'm not saying that everything is horrid either, like beautiful shit happens too. Like there's a reason why I'm still like fighting for, some sort of decency when it comes to like humanity, and why I like these type of discussions. It's just it sounds like cope. It sounds like we didn't have an answer. So somebody with a very good imagination came up with a very beautiful story that did help explain some of the unexplainable things, like when it comes to suffering, as it does with life, or like when it comes into relation to like humans in life. Like I also like, part of me gets a little like upset too, because I'm like, well, what about like dogs, and stuff like, like why is morals always like surrounding just humans? And I don't know. I don't want to like get too far off the topic there, but like that's what it comes off as to me. Like I understand like what you're saying with the fall, and I think that it is a beautiful like explanation, and I think that it is a fitting one for a long time. But like with the discovery of things like uncertainty and chaos theory and things like that, that's just a better explanation to me. Not
Yeah.
necessarily like good and like makes me feel good, but like it just makes more sense to me.
I guess it would be better if I would first ask you to define, like, how do you see the chaos theory? Like, how would you define it?
So like chaos is uncertainty, right? Like basically that there is no plan, there is no rhyme or reason. Very similar to like static, like on a signal that isn't coming through, right? Like on a radio signal, or static that you see on a television. True randomness is what like chaos is. A lot of things that we consider random are not actually random. They're just like very low probabilities. True chaos is like literally like back to like pixels and static, is like particles, and particles are just rearranging and they're moving around, they're interacting with each other. There's entropy, and there's things arising, there's things that are ending, there's everything's going on, and we happen to find ourselves in a moment of this like crazy static, that the particles arrange themselves to make a beautiful portrait, or like a beautiful painting. And it just so happens that if you give particles that are moving around randomly enough time, like via chaos theory, that everything, like especially if you have eternity, everything will happen. It will arrange that can. So like, the example that somebody would give is like, if you put an apple in a box and you gave it to eternity, first the apple will degrade. It will, like it'll turn into mush, and then it'll turn into gases, and then the particles will like keep rearranging. And then like if you give it enough time, those particles will rearrange enough to where it'll actually like make a tiny Eiffel Tower. It will also make a tiny little, within the size of the box, a little Mona Lisa. If you just give it enough time, and the particles can just like keep moving until the entropy dies out and we get to zero entropy. And then after that, you got nothing until like quantum mechanics as we understand it. And I think that we haven't quite figured it out yet, but there seems to be an uncertainty there too that would allow for something like the Big Bang to happen over and over and over again, to where I can reason out where a eternal universe could exist and that particles within it can hit a moment of entropy, and with quantum mechanics and uncertainty, those particles can then interact with each other and create something like the Big Bang over and over and over again.
Right.
And to me, that's fitting. That's comforting. It feels like a good enough explanation that doesn't require the baggage of a book that has a lot of great stories. It also has a lot of horrid shit in it. And it's also like the cause for a lot of things like lack of progress. It's caused for things like certain types of people not being accepted. And it's also, stopped people from like thinking about things critically.
Okay, so I appreciate that you view the whole fall thing as a suiting explanation, even if it's not the best one. The reason I would not rest in your chaos thing is there were a couple of things that you said. Like you said if you have eternity, then the apple will do this and that,
Mhm.
but or if you have your pixels on your television screen, eventually they'll arrange to form something beautiful. But that to me doesn't answer the question of why does the television screen or eternity exist in the first place? Why is there even a set of conditions where chaos is allowed? And in that way, I would say that the purest form of chaos is complete black nothingness and timelessness. That's my just philosophical kind of perspective.
Right. But once again, there's selection bias that's going on here. So, like, you're assuming that there was once nothing. I personally cannot understand what nothing is. Like, what is nothing?
May I interject?
Sure.
So this is my first time ever joining a stream of yours. Sorry, Reclaimer. It sounds like you have some history, so I'm sure you have better formed questions than I do. But do you believe in a creator?
Me? No.
Okay. So do you think that when if you are to just walk outside, look around, and see the complexity of everything, all the way down to cells, you think that all of this came from nothing?
No. I think that there's always been matter, time, there's always been energy, right? Like these are things that, energy is not created nor destroyed. That we can, like mathematically, we can keep like showing it empirically. And there is, I think, even somebody was like sharing a video about Penrose is the physicist who came up with the idea, or like kind of like made famous the idea of a cyclical eternal universe, which reaches a point of zero entropy, and then quantum mechanics helps to explain, but it doesn't necessarily have to be quantum mechanics though. What would cause the zero entropy to like reset, which is like people don't understand that like the Big Bang Theory to me does not mean there was nothing before the Big Bang. to me, it just means we can't look back that far. It just isn't observable to us yet. Maybe someday. But there's not necessarily anything that says that it was nothing before the Big Bang, that it was this like moment of nothing and then everything. I think that it's always been everything, and that is the universe. The universe is everything, and it's just everything as this like chaotic ball or cloud interacting with each other of static, and we happen to find ourselves in a moment of order within the disorder.
Okay, so you're a believer that something can come from nothing, that for something to have existed forever outside of time and space and matter.
I can't even fathom what nothing is.
Right. So
there's always
okay.
like
I see what you're saying now.
There's always something, right? Like I don't even know. Like people say black, like it would be black. How do you know that? Like black is something.
Nobody does. Yeah, right? Nobody knows.
So like
nobody
nothing,
knows.
The absence of anything. And Sartre writes about this. He's a philosopher, and being in nothingness, and it's very like scary to try and like think or fathom what nothing is, because I don't know if it's possible. Because there's always something that you're like considering, like space or time or some sort of encapsulating thing. So to say like it was nothing before and then everything after, it doesn't make really too much sense to me. Yeah, even total darkness is something, as somebody in the TikTok chat is saying. Like, yeah, like it's still something.
So how do you feel about the simulation theory?
I think that that's a possibility, and like that's why I'm agnostic, because I'm not a solipsist, and so I think that it's very much a possibility. I think that it would be confirmed if we do ever create like AI, like true AI, artificial intelligence, or create like a simulation that is truly like humans basically on a program. The likelihood that we are a simulation is like 100%, then almost.
It's an interesting theory in regards to the laser concept with, of course, under DMT. And from personal experience, and don't let me get too far off of what you were talking about, because I'm a fucking spacehead, but there's personal experience I have with meditation that if I do it for long enough, eyes closed, there's little flashes of light that happen within the brain, and within those small flashes of light, there's coding. There's coding that you can see, and it's not just numbers, but it's symbols. And so there's part of me that thinks there's coding and symbols that people refer to as the ether around us that we can't see, but you might be able to, if you want to, or you close your eyes, meditate, etc. If you dive into that kind of playing field. But I think that it's a very high possibility that that's what's going on now, because in my experience and research, just fun searching, whatever.
Yeah.
There's, I believe, definitely there's coding all around us that we cannot see with our bare eyes. And that leads to some pretty interesting conversations about what's all around us that we have been conditioned to not see, with our eyes open.
Like dark matter? Is that like what
I wouldn't say dark matter. I wouldn't say it's dark matter. How do you feel about dark matter?
Okay, so you're saying like the kind of like the transcendental, or like that which we Kant describes it like the universe as, like basically the universe in itself. which is impossible for the humans to ever fully perceive. And I think that that's kind of what you're describing, right? Like the interactions between things, like the coding, if you will, of DNA, or even how light works, physics, things like that. Like the processes that we are kind of unraveling as humans, and maybe we'll never get the answer. Like with quantum mechanics, we're kind of at a brick wall in a way, to where we have to use a uncertainty principle, like the wavelength or the wave. My brain's turning into mush. Where the collapse of the wave function is what it is. The wave function is basically a way for us to bypass knowing exactly where something is, or the probability of something actually existing. We just consider both of them, both they are existing and they don't exist, kind of thing. So we kind of hacked it in a way, for humans to kind of perceive what quantum mechanics is, so we can make sense of things. So I think that might be what you're talking about then. So it isn't like dark matter, it's more like the programming and of the interactions and the things that humans just can't
100%.
perceive. Okay.
100%.
The Kantian, the universe in itself kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah. The universe as one whole thing that's all around us, that we're all connected to, but don't necessarily understand yet.
Right. Yeah. And I would say that, yeah, it would be it is a bit almost religious of me to be set in my ways with chaos theory, but it just so happens that it just is the best personally explanation for what is. And there's somebody that I want to mention, and this is, I was so I have this AI thing that I run the YouTube channel through sometimes, and I'll be like, what is Benny's, philosophy and stuff. And there's this Ilya Prigogine, a Belgian chemist that has written a lot of books about what I talk about, apparently. So this is not even my own, philosophy that I'm coming up with or anything. This is something that others apparently have affirmed in ways, and I need to read it up on them. But yeah, as far as the Kantian universe in itself, I think that is fine. I think that that's true. I think that humans are limited, but I do think that with technology, we could possibly shorten that gap. I don't think that objective truth can ever be achieved by a human. If that makes sense.
Okay. Do you believe or disbelieve that there are groupings of people, or yeah, I'll say that, groupings of people that do in fact know the majority of what we're discussing now, and what we'll potentially always discuss, but know the answers to these questions? Do you think that there are people or entities, I won't say humans, perhaps draconians, reptile, whatever you want to fucking call it.
Yeah.
Do you think that there are entities that reside here on this earth and beyond, perhaps, that know things that we're discussing now? And perhaps humans are part of this entire thing, and so maybe there are humans that know these answers. And maybe they're not sharing these answers because it would, whatever, cause quote unquote mass hysteria, whatever you want to call it. And they're keeping these answers from us.
Are we on the precipice of disclosure? I think
Sure.
that I think that there could be. I think that it would take a very large effort to withhold that type of information. I don't think it could be, but personally, how I personally feel, I don't think that that's the case. I think that humans are too fallible, too dumb, to be completely honest. Even the smartest humans are still human. to where they wouldn't be able to hide such like profound information. It's just humans have too big of mouths. So like that's just my own personal view.
Okay, and I don't disagree with that, but I think that certain humans, maybe given certain circumstances or threats, blackmailing, etc., I think if you're given enough reason not to do something, you won't, right? And if you incorporate love into the situation, then perhaps that kind of information.
There could be like an alien race or something that has the ability to like wipe memories. I mean, like we have medicine, like, well, not medicine, well, some medicine that can like literally wipe your memory, or like there's like a powder like that can make you like suggestive, and you can like tell a person like what to believe and all these things and do, and like, so maybe there's some form of that, with aliens. That is a little too like esoteric for me. I like to try and like stay grounded a little bit more in like what in fact like do we know. I think that like the possibility of like other life is definitely out there. It's almost like a certainty, right? Just because
I suppose. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Just because of like similar star systems and planets, where it's just like either they're so far away they can't reach us, or they are not evolved enough to where like, or it could be a different type of life that's not carbon based. Who knows? I think that those possibilities are real.
And I think so. I'm with you on that. I also think that what we do know is very controlled. Very, very controlled. I think that us basing what we know off of modern day quote unquote science.
Hey, Hunter. Sorry, I'm just saying hi to a friend. Oop.
Hi, Hunter.
Yeah.
And and I'm almost 100% positive that what we do know is skewed to what somebody or some other things want us to think we know as the truth. And I'm pretty sure that the truth lies around what we don't know and what we haven't been told to think is true, and what we don't have any scientific backing behind. I think that that's where the truth lies, is what you cannot prove.
Yeah. I think that that's a very, 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 very possible thing. I'm not saying that that is impossible. I just think that a more likely scenario, a kind of Occam's razor type of thing, is the chaos part of it all. Because I do believe that we are limited in ways, like just as like with Reclaimer, like what we were talking about. I do believe that, it's not so much that I thought that there was nothing and then there was something, that we have these cards that we've been dealt, right? And that's where like the selection bias part of this is like maybe not so well communicated by me, where this is what it is because it has to be that way. Otherwise it wouldn't be that way. So like assigning a purpose to things, I think is a little bit like not so, I don't want to say like, I don't want to call it naive or like not so smart, but like just I wouldn't
Utopian,
suggest
right?
it. Yeah. It's just like to assign a purpose is like jumping the gun a little bit. I don't know. Hold on, we got another person here, and I only have about 9 more minutes that I can go. Hold on, I got a message too. Jay Pendragon, are you there?
I think he's muted.
Jay Pendragon, can you unmute yourself? Hello? Well, you know what? I'm gonna actually call it on this conversation, just because I do have one more guest over on the TikTok end, and I do want to talk to them real quick. But yeah, if there's any like final, oh, there we go. Jay Pendragon, can I get your age real quick? Sure.
That's Reclaimer.
Oh, was that you, Reclaimer?
No.
Oh no, okay,
No.
that's Jay Pendragon. Sorry, you guys probably can't see each other. I don't know how like Video Ninja works. Thank you, Bub. Also, Bub, to answer your question, you're good. You don't have to pick me up. I'm probably gonna just chill. All right. So, Jay Pendragon, you're 19. What brings you up? Okay. Well, I'll get into this. I want to see if like Reclaimer and Eric are you guys kind of okay with where the conversation had like kind of ended? I just we could probably go on for hours about those types of things, which I'm more than happy to do on another show. Reclaimer and Eric.
The first, I have a clarifying question. You would encapsulate the idea of fine tuning within your chaos theory, right? Like the chaos theory produces.
It could be.
Okay. Well, we don't have to get into that. If we had more time, I would like to talk more about something that kind of it's a bitter taste, is that if you want to accept the beautiful explanation of the fall in Genesis, you have to also accept the horrid shit, what you called it, and the rest. And I'd be more interested in talking about that, but that's probably best for another show. But yeah,
it might happen here a little bit with Jay Pendragon. But one last thing, Eric, like any kind of like closing thoughts, real quick. I mean, you don't have to go.
No, man.
Like,
I
while I talk. Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, all good, brother. I get the time time is the thing. So
got like 5 minutes. Here.
I appreciate you. Fun conversation.
Yeah.
I think that I'll get a little bit more constructed thoughts in hand for the next conversation. Reclaimer, absolute pleasure to listen to you as well. It's been a blast. I think my final thought is that it's a beautiful thing that we live within a time that human beings are so interested in all of these ideas and all of these possibilities and theories that we're talking about it. And I think that that's the most important thing, and I freaking love it, man.
Yeah, same. All right. Well, I'm gonna go to Jay. I appreciate you, by the way, Eric, and you're more than welcome to come back on, and we can keep talking. If you want to stick around though for the last 5 minutes, you're fine too. Jay Pendragon, the reason why I say that Christianity holds back progress, like as far as modern times, I'll just give a few examples. Stem cell research, racial segregation or desegregation, and the like pushback of it. Those two alone were mainly held back because of like Christians. And I would not say that it is like Christianity in itself. These could be bad actors, but still they were Christians. It was the Christian church, or members of a Christian church that held it back. I think that the same goes for gay rights, trans rights. I think that a lot of science is held back because we don't want to play God, things like that. So that's why I say Christianity holds us back, like progressively. Okay. But women have never been considered equal in the eyes of the like Old Testament and the New Testament. Neither have slaves. Slavery was never said to not be done by God or any like verse. In fact, it's said that I think it very much does. If God has the ability to say don't eat shrimp and don't wear mixed fabrics, then God can say don't have fucking slaves. I think that it's disgusting that God in Leviticus says that of the nations around you, you may go and you may acquire a male and female slave, and of them they may be treated as property, and you may take this property and you can pass it down to your children, and they may pass it down as property themselves. To treat humans as property, I think, is disgusting, and I think that God and Jesus, by enforcement, and and Judas, or not Judas, Jonas, Jonas, one of the books, it's like the very last, the one right before Revelation, says Jude, thank you, that Jesus was the God of the Old Testament. Therefore, he never said that you can't have slaves, and that they could be treated like property, and that sounds awful to me. I also think that the framework argument that you had was a pretty good one. I think that the framework, though, allows for other things, though, like the justification of slavery, like we were just discussing. Well, to put it simply, I think that, like, I just don't think that God considered everybody equal. Nobody's equal in the eyes of God. God, for instance, hated. God, why is my brain is just not here today? So God loved Jacob, but he did not like. Who did he hate? What was the term?
It was Esau.
Esau, thank you. God,
Thank
you, Reclaimer. You're reclaiming me right now. You're helping me. God hated Esau for no reason. So, like, there's a separation of Jew and Gentile that shows a hierarchy. Men and women, there's a hierarchy. They are not equal. And I understand that. My point being, though, that, like, there is no equity or equality, right? So, like, obviously he had to play a favorite. So there is no, like, equalness in the eyes of, like, under God. Like, you could say that. I would say that that goes directly against the Old Testament. That's a contradiction. How is it not? By who? How did Jesus fulfill a new covenant? Well, how did he fulfill the old covenant? Okay. So would you say that Jesus was able to do this because he's the Messiah? like the prophesized Messiah of the prophecies. Right. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, from a Jewish standpoint, Jesus can't be the Messiah. The Messiah has very strict like rules. So like the Meshiach, like the person that is supposed to usher in the new heaven and the new earth, as the like Jewish described it, Jesus can't like fill those like benchmarks, because Jesus is not a king. He's not of the line of David. There's so many things that like the virgin birth is like a mistranslation. Like you could try and go over like any of the prophecies that were that like justify or set up like Jesus's like legitimacy, and none of them are fulfilled by Jesus. Like I challenge you. I challenge you to go through every single like actually just pick a prophecy that Jesus that legitimizes Jesus, and like look deeply into the Old Testament, where that like prophecy came from, and see if Jesus fulfills it. Matthew and Luke, that's a post hoc. No, and their genealogies do not go back to David. In fact, their genealogies go against earlier mentioned, because of there's a cursed guy that is in the genealogies that say that like the Messiah cannot be descended, just like with Esau, like what we were talking about. That is the same as far as like the descendant that Jesus like is the descendant of. What is his name? It's cursed person and Jesus genealogy. Oh, I wish Justin was here, and I wish my brain worked better. Jeconiah is within Matthew 1:11 and 12. But if you read Jeremiah chapter 22:30, thank you, Blake, you will see that there's actually like he was cursed to never like be able to have any of his descendants become the Messiah. So if you are to take those genealogies, which by the way do not link Jesus directly to David, there's the other problem, which is Jeconiah. And so like that's why the virgin birth like makes a little bit of sense when like you see that they kind of like pushed it in a little bit, with hold on, let me finish here. So like the virgin birth is it can be attributed to a mistranslation of alma, which is the Hebrew word for a young woman, and parthenos, which is the Koine Greek that you find in Matthew. The virgin birth does sidestep a lot of things like original sin. It does sidestep Jeconiah's curse, because Jeconiah, I believe, is on Mary's side. So like you can see like these like the reasoning that goes into like the like almost like forcing this Messiah figure out of the Jewish religion. What purpose for? I don't know, because you got me. I mean, I think Jesus is a pretty cool guy. Oh shoot. Yeah, I am out of time, and they can't hear you for some reason on YouTube. Why is that? Reclaimer, can you say something real quick?
Hello.
Yeah, Reclaimer, you're coming through, but Jay Pendragon, I don't know, for some reason you're not. Oh, geez. Well, hey, Jay, I'll probably be live either tomorrow, or if not, then it'll be like Wednesday. We can continue this conversation then, but the virgin birth thing, I think that that's a very good one to like look into. A good like person that would run all of my arguments, because that's who I learned it from, is Deconstruction Zone Justin, my good friend. He has basically tons of videos and stuff. He goes by DZ Debates on YouTube. You can probably just look up Virgin Birth and Justin Deconstruction Zone, and you will see what arguments I would run and why I would run them. So if you want to like come back and discuss after that, I would love to. But hey, I got to end this. I didn't realize what time it was. I got a little caught up in the conversation. I love these conversations. I do. No, it's all right. And yeah, for some reason, I don't know why you're not coming through on YouTube. That's gonna bug me. But beyond that, Reclaimer, I really do appreciate you. I actually like want to keep talking, and I would like to discuss even more sometime. So yeah, don't be a stranger. And also Jay Pendragon, I really appreciate the conversation, but I do have to sign off, guys.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep. Have a good night.